Hello and welcome to another episode of the News DCU Daily. We're going to get into it, of course. I am, of course, Daniel. It's been a while. I feel like if you might have missed me. If you missed me, well then hello, I'm back. If you didn't, then I don't know what to tell you. That's on you. But with that in mind, of course, we've got some DC stuff to talk about today. It's a slower news day on the DC front, but we do have to get into, what is James Gunn working on next in terms of like a movie or a TV show that he might be directing. There's so many different projects in the world of DC that are, up for grabs. I mean, of course, James Gunn is the studio head, so he could reach for any of them. It's really his call, right? Like maybe even he kicks off James Mangold or Andy Muschietti off theirs because they seem to be only half interested. So we'll talk about that. But then we do have a ton of news, of course, the weekend box office. We didn't really get into it a ton yesterday, but I wanted to kind of touch upon it today. A couple of movies, passing through some milestones that we wanted to talk about. There's news of like Sonic 4. Of course, William Shatner is getting a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Saturn Awards, I think. I'm going to get honored. We're going to talk about that, of course. I'm sure John will give you his best imitation for that.
Yes, I will.
But with that in mind, let's hit that news intro and then we're gonna dive right into it, shall we?
Time to
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always number two.
All right, Mr. I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding.
Robert
You're
Downey.
kidding. I can't open the envelope without the.
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see chords.
Right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
What the needs now?
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
Well, hello there. I'm of course Dan, and or as Hosea said in the chat, Lieutenant Dan. Well, hello to you, Lieutenant Dan. Maybe John has like a ice cream cone for me. I can go for some ice cream right now.
Honestly, now I kind of want an ice cream, but like it's cold out, so like, and the thing is,
it doesn't matter. You can have ice cream any time of year.
No, I know that's what I'm saying. I don't mind that, but it's just like there's like I remember because like I always get like hankering for Dairy Queen because there's like a small like
they're closed, right? Like they're not.
Yeah, because they're closed for the season. Yeah,
it's like Dairy Queen
for doing
and
that,
then Rita's. They're like gone until like March. I'm like,
what if like Dairy Queen? Like, come on, what if I want a blizzard during a blizzard? Like, that's not fair. Like, it's called a blizzard. Why are you not open during blizzards? Waffle House doesn't take this shit. There could be a literal nuke about to drop, and Waffle House won't close. That's some bullshit right there. Now I just think, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll grab a pint of Ben and Jerry's. Like I'll live.
Yeah.
My fat ass will live with that. It's fine. But like maybe I just, but when you got that Oreo blizzard,
you just need your freshly blended Oreos and some creamy ice cream. Like that's all you need. And you throw in some like Oreo bits
in the middle. That was
dude, yeah,
that was good. They still have those, but they don't have one for the Oreo one anymore. And it's such a shame.
It's like it's that's one of those questions. Like how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? Right? Like it's that. How do they put the chocolate on the inside? I want to know the secret. It's probably just as simple as they fill it up and then they top it off, like whatever. But it's fine. It's one of those life's mysteries,
Yeah.
It's like, how did they get the jelly in the donut?
Also, Caleb, sorry, we don't have Cornetto over here. We do not. I apologize, but we know Cornetto thanks to Edgar Wright, but we can't buy it over here. Apologies.
Yeah.
So we don't know the blissful, loving nature of a Cornetto cone. Sorry.
By the way, just to look ahead to DCU Daily later, we did I put up a post earlier today saying, hey, we're gonna do a little Q&A tonight. Send us your questions. So if you saw that post in the community tab on YouTube, so if you're watching on Twitter or X or Facebook or Twitch or even TikTok, we were live on TikTok. then you might not have
Yeah,
seen
when
it.
it
But
went
if
down
you
for 2 hours and then
2 hours,
we
2 hours.
got it immediately
The
back
memes,
again.
man, the memes. If you guys are wrestling fans, you remember when Santino Marella got in the Royal Rumble, got tossed out in a second. That was like a all-time record for the quickest elimination. And he's like, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. It was literally, that's how you can describe the TikTok. Like, people weren't ready to go offline TikTok, and it was like, before you know it, it was back. And everybody, I mean, yes, some people did end up on Instagram in the meantime, but it's like, TikTok's not going to take you back. You betrayed TikTok. Now you get to stay up. But who knows? For all we know, TikTok will be banned again in a few days, depending on how, the winds blow in Washington D.C. But we'll see. But without getting further into the politics of social media, all I'm saying is if you are on YouTube, you should have seen a post, or you might have seen a post on the community tab where I said, hey, ask us your questions if it's DC related or anything else, quite frankly. It could be Marvel, Star Wars, it could be Pixar, it could be just general movies, or even if you have questions about how we put the show on, like, what do we do? What software do we use? Like, what lights do we have? What cameras? It's like, it's all that stuff.
Hello, everyone.
Like, where do I get my vest from? This one's from LL Bean, like sometimes I'm wearing Columbia. It's like, that's
Caleb,
sponsored.
I'm surprised you're not banned from like every social network at this point. Like, that's honestly shocking. Also, hi, Lenny.
And Man of Steel Magnolias, of course.
He's too sexy for TikTok to the point he doesn't even spell it right.
I'm too sexy for TikTok, too sexy for Facebook. You can make that rhyme. It's definitely, you can do that.
Skibbity Riz guys or whatever. See, I'm too old. Yeah, I'm too old for that shit too. And I'm technically Gen Z, so I'm like on the cusp.
I'm millennial. I'm on like the outer edges of that era generation.
I'm like zillennial. I'm like in between. I'm in the weird bridge of like Gen Z and millennial.
Sounds about right. By the way, if you guys are joining us, then hit that like button. We do appreciate it. It helps the YouTube algorithm get the stream out in front of more viewers. But as we always do, John, we get the show started with the news. So let's do that, shall we? Because there's quite a bit of news to get into. Some interesting news. Some things that you will probably enjoy. Some things you just can't wait to get past, as per usual. But the big piece of news that I want to start with is just the weekend box office. Of course, it was yesterday. We saw the show. It was Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So MLK Jr. It's a holiday weekend. MLK Day, it counts as a holiday weekend. You got the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a Monday. So it's a 4-day weekend. And as you can see, the box office from the 4-day weekend now. It says that Mufasa and then One of Them Days apparently mauled Wolfman over what was considered overall a slow weekend. And, understandable is January, so like you don't get as many movies, not as many people are going out to the movies, unlike, in the Christmas holiday season or like the summer movie season. But still, Moana 2, we'll get into that a little bit later. Moana 2 cleared $1 billion at the box office now. That makes it the third billion-dollar movie for Disney from last year. So like, I don't think any other studio got even close to that. But hey, Disney, for the win. And it wasn't even considered like, better than the first movie by any means. But hey, of the movies that you see here, One of Them Days, I think, is an underrated one. You don't see very many, buddy comedy films where it's like, two African American, two black girls. Just like it's you don't see that. Like, I read a review where they pointed that out, and I wasn't thinking about it this way, because I was thinking about it. Oh, it's Keke Palmer. I love like her in pretty much everything I see. Like, so I'm gonna check it out for that reason. But they were like, you know what? You don't see female-led black comedies very often. And especially ones, that are like in this genre, like, buddy comedy, road trip sort of. The story is really fun. So it's good that the movie's doing well. Of course, the holdovers like Mufasa, I think it crossed 600 million at the box office. You have, other movies like Sonic still playing well. It's become the third Sonic movie has become the highest grossing of the franchise. So, it's clearly that franchise is not going away anytime soon, and we'll get into that later as well. But John, of all the movies that you see here, any surprises to you in terms of, what's having success? Are you surprised that Wolfman is not doing well?
No, I mean, it's been getting pretty, I guess you could say, dog shit reviews. And so that's not surprising me. I've heard nothing but bad things about it. I'm still going to see it. Well, we plan on reviewing it later this week. So that's mainly, and I'm still kind of curious because I'm like, yeah, it looks more like Oomph Man. Even my friend says it's not Wolfman, it's Wolfman, because it's not it barely counts as a Wolfman. He's like it's really a Wendigo. Like that's
Right.
That's really what it is. It's not really a Wolfman. It's like, okay, then why call it Wolfman kind of thing. But it's also the idea of like, well, we need like a IP to sell this thing that we want to do, but we can't like we don't want to do the actual thing. We want to do something original. We can't do something original because we need IPs to sell shit. So it's a whole, you know, yeah. So it's a whole rigmarole, and that's not. And one of them days, like it has an audience. I'm not that audience. I think it honestly looked kind of cringy and stupid, but like that's just me. But I'm not the target audience for that movie, so I hope the people that watched it liked it. Mufasa still getting beat by Sonic 3, and that's all we care about. Sonic 3 is just a little bit ahead, and that's all we care about. Just try to read it. Well, here's the thing: when it comes to comics, they're not going to adapt the comic just straight up. Usually they take they're already taking liberties by adding Lobo. Yes, I know Tom King did say he wanted to include Lobo, but then the editor told him no. But it's not going to adapt the comic exactly. So maybe like the idea of the story. Well, some things are going to be changed. It's not going to, like the Keanu Reeves Constantine movie is, it's not exactly like Dangerous Habits. Like it's not that's the basis of it. That's what it's like, that's the basis of the story, but it's not like the exact plot. So, they'll probably take a lot of liberties with it to make it work for the big screen, hopefully write it better. Because Tom King. But with
Ouch.
Wolfman, but going back to Wolfman, yeah, it's he said he wanted it to be like The Fly, where he was like a guy metamorphosizing into something else, which I don't mind because the concept is amazing. But it seems like Lee Wannell definitely fumbled with it, whether it was the poor script, poor direction. But Lee Wannell is pretty much 2 for 3 now, because Upgrade was fantastic and Invisible Man was great. I don't care what anybody says. I know there are some people that have gone back and be like, "Oh, that movie actually sucks." I think it's good. Like, I don't give a fuck. That's a great movie. Elizabeth Moss is a little bit of a wet blanket, but like overall, I still think that the movie was really well done and really well made. So I think this might just be like a blip. I think it's just a blip. I think he'll do something better later on. So I think worst comes to worst, if we're talking about Wolfman remix, go back to the Joe Johnston one, because apparently that one is pretty underrated. So go back to that one, or go back to the Lon Chaney Jr. original. So that's all I got to say about that. But I haven't seen it yet, so I can't judge. But I liked it from the concept alone. And I like Christopher Abbott. I think he's a very good, kind of underrated actor.
Yeah, fair enough. Yash is like, I'm scared in the chat. Are you talking about like scared of the Wolfman movie? But I don't know. Jose is saying, of course, Yash comes in and makes it about himself. I hope you're okay, Yash. Like, you sound like you're having a rough time. We hope that you're able to come here and get away from whatever's causing you stress in your day to day. We're here to kind of have fun. Let's talk about the movies, like the stuff that we like to enjoy. The magic of movie making, as they say. Lenny's continuing to go at you about your speculation.
Yeah, I never said you were dumb. When did I say that? Go back to the tape. When did I say that? I'm just saying, it's not going to be an exact note for note. So, whatever the speculation is, it's, it's not going to be exact. But
I think, John, you should probably give it a shot before the movie.
I'll eventually read it. It'll probably take a while because
time.
I can only stand so much shitty comic book writing.
I literally, John, I will drive to you and give you my copy if you want. Like, if that's what it takes, I will gladly do that.
No, I'm not. I'm fucking pirating that shit. I don't give. I ain't giving him a time of day. I already paid.
John's opinions on that are his own. We do not recommend or encourage piracy in any way, means, or shapes or forms or whatsoever.
Are telling me that is a joke. That was a joke.
Yes, John's lawyers are on it. But in the meantime, I wanted to discuss the Mufasa. I mean, specifically, let's kind of drill down at the box office, right? We mentioned that Mufasa is still doing really well. Now, it's doing so well, John, that it's been at the top of the box office now for like 5 weeks in a row. Like even this week, like it's been like almost 2 months since this movie has been out now, and it barely, but still, it managed to eke out one of them days, which came in second, like not by much.
Oh my
but
god,
it was
a
just
Disney
enough.
project is
I
doing
mean,
that? That's crazy.
No, I mean it's interesting that it's doing that, and not only is it done that for 5 weeks straight, it's now crossed $600 million. A couple of other highlights. I mean, a couple other things that you might appreciate.
Because the people
Wicked.
overseas are losers who don't know what good movies are, so they have to go see this fucking garbage.
Well, fair enough, but like, hey, Wicked has also crossed 700 million. I mean, and it's now on track to beat Dune Part 2's 714 because now it's sitting at 709. So it's 5 million away from beating
Wicked
Dune
is
Part
going to
2.
slowly but surely get to $1 billion. I think it's going to get there, just not as quick as something like Deadpool and Wolverine.
Are you sure though? Because it's got a lot. 300 million is a long ways to go for a movie
Here's
that's
the
already
thing,
been
though.
out for a month.
My parents tried to go see that movie like 2 or 3 times, and
it's
like
still sold out?
it's like they went, I think, a week or 2 ago, and it was sold out. Like it was like they tried to go a bunch of times, and it was sold out every time. So clearly it's still, people are still going to see. And the thing is, it was on like weird days. It was like the kids like have gone back to school. It was like on a weekday. It was like during work hours and sold out. Yeah, exactly.
I'm seeing
was like
thing.
from fucking garbage from what we've heard, and that's made a fucking billion. People, it's Disney. People don't care. They have no standards anymore.
Well, I mean, look, the fact that Wicked is doing as well as it is a testament to the fact that there are still a lot of people out there who are going to watch and choosing to watch Wicked over everything else, such as Mufasa. Which, I mean, look, movies are for everybody. You might love Mufasa, The Lion King, and of course that's how it's gotten past 600 million. A movie that most people did not expect to get anywhere close to that. It's still $1 billion away from The Lion King's box office from a few years ago, but 600 million ain't half bad. Now, the other thing, John, I mentioned earlier, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. It's now become the highest grossing Sonic the Hedgehog movie in the three. It's a threequel in the trilogy so far, or in the franchise in general. It's brought in 422 million, as it says in the article so far, and that beats out, you know, all the I think it was what 405 that the second one made, and 319 million that the first one made. So it's like the John Wick movies, right? Like where each movie, it's not like each movie's doubling the previous movie's output, but it is slowly trickling up, which bodes well for, they've already announced the Sonic the Hedgehog 4. So we're gonna get into that, I'm sure, later in the show, because we do have some news about that. The other thing I wanted to kind of point out now, talking about Mufasa. Yeah. We were all saying how the music sucks, but now, like, the first song from the movie has hit the charts, and with I think the Billboard's top 10. I Always Wanted a Brother is now a top 10 song in America on the not on a traditional chart. That's the key here. It says here the tune rockets from number 10 to number 4 this week on the TikTok Billboard.
Okay, that means like even less. That doesn't mean shit.
I'm just saying, you know.
Dick. Yeah, the fucking brain rot social app that almost got banned. Yeah, let's trust them on fucking music standards. Okay.
I mean, on a technicality, but it's still there. The other thing about The Lion King, it is pushing the 700 million. I mean, the rate at which it's going now, it's going to be clearly more than profitable. The franchise this is technically the third movie, theatrically released movie in the franchise. And, you know, for it to still make like over 15 million on its like 7th or 8th weekend in release, that's still, you know, I think it's pretty good. It's, like I said, it's been the number 1 movie for 5 weeks straight, and that's insane. I mean, domestic overseas over $600 million. To me, it's surprising.
Man of time. There's a TikTok chart. I mean, TikTok doesn't play the full song, only snippets. So it's like, yeah, like 10 seconds of the song is on the TikTok chart because that's all you could fucking play of the actual fucking song. And also, well, I mean, figure drawing. I know kids are going to see movies, but what I'm saying is like, like I don't know if you're like talking about like when my parents went to go see it. Is like it was like during a school day and it was during work hours, so it's like damn, a lot of people are still going to see this movie on a
Like
weekday.
at that time of the week, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like at like, oh, let's go at like 3, and people were it was still sold out. So there's that, and I know that there's kids. Like kids are, it's just like the thing that's just sad is like it's just the standards are so I feel like are just so much lower. And it's like, oh, it's for kids, so we shouldn't care. And it's like, that's really sad. Kids deserve good movies too. So, I know like, well, yeah, this guy still thinks Batman and Robin's the greatest fucking Batman movie of all
It's not
time.
the greatest, but it's so bad it's good. I enjoy it.
He
It's
really
a guilty
thinks
pleasure.
it's better than The Dark Knight, guys.
No, okay, now you're just putting words in my mouth, because The Dark Knight is the greatest superhero movie of all time, a perfectly paced movie. Manos Time is like, John loves to insult us overseas folks, but it's all
well,
jokes.
you're the
Love
ones
you
that are
too,
giving
man.
money to this damn thing.
He said
so,
it's all
like,
jokes. He said it's all jokes. It's all jokes. It's all good. It's all good. We got Monumental Comics in the chat. Hello. We don't see you in the chat very often. Hello to you. He just said hell no. I don't know what that was in reference to.
I don't know what you're talking about. Hell no.
I don't know.
Maybe,
it's
maybe to the headline.
Potentially.
You do deserve good films, John. All kids should be stimulated. Wow. I could go for Under the Belt, but I'm not going to. I'm going to take the high road. So thanks, Lenny, for your wonderful comment. We love and appreciate you so much.
Yeah. Caleb is like, Superman Quest for Peace is obviously the GOAT. Yeah. And on that note, I think we should switch topics, shall we? Let's go on from one Disney thing to another Disney thing, because of course, this is something that you guys talked about briefly yesterday when Liz was on the show, and I know you guys mentioned it, and you kind of like discussed the idea that yes, these movies are apparently, Doctor Strange 3 and Shang-Chi 2 are now reportedly going into production in, was it 2027, I believe? They're officially in the works. And according to, I think, one of the scoopers in Hollywood, was it Daniel Rickman that said it? That I think, yeah, that it's supposed to go into production soon. The one thing that this article, though, pointed out, 2026 it should be, is that there is speculation now that potentially, while Sam Raimi could return to direct the third Doctor Strange movie, Destin Daniel Cretton, who directed the first Shang-Chi, he's set to direct Spider-Man 4. So because the Spider-Man 4 will still be in post-production around 2026, depending on when, Shang-Chi goes into production. And obviously, if he's shooting Spider-Man 4 this year, he can't really prep the next Shang-Chi movie. So there's speculation that he's not going to direct the next Shang-Chi movie, which to me would be just a big loss, because he was so good. Like, the first movie was so good. That, to me, Shang-Chi is the best movie from Phase 4 of Marvel. The best anything in Phase 4 of Marvel.
That's a low bar.
Outside of Captain Marvel. Not Captain, Miss Marvel. To me, Miss Marvel, WandaVision, and as far as movies go, Shang-Chi was the best one. But I mean, as long as he picks another director, maybe like if he's still a producer and he gets to bring in somebody else, or maybe Kevin Feige, you trust in Kevin Feige. I mean, John, are you looking forward to either of these movies, especially if, let's say, Sam Raimi comes back for the next Doctor Strange movie?
Like, because the thing is, unless like I've gotten full like 100% accuracy, dead on balls accurate, that it's a Sam Raimi movie, I'm not fucking seeing it, because you have one of the best, most like illustrious director made the best Spider-Man movie fucking effortlessly, and you're like, nah, let's put our bullshit into it. It's like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Like, as I said, when Doctor Strange 2 is being a Sam Raimi movie, it's fucking great. Like when fucking Undead Doctor Strange comes out, when he's doing like the Quick and the Dead fucking homage, when he's doing like the musical notes, like that shit's like pure unadulterated Sam Raimi, and it's wonderful. And then when you gotta grind the fucking movie to a halt to introduce the Illuminati, all of them die, they become spaghetti, and it's just like, what the fuck?
That movie jumped the shark.
What am I watching?
That movie jumped the shark so many times. Like, to me, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, it made almost $1 billion though. It was like less than 50 million. I mean, I'm just saying. It still made a shit ton of money. By the way, we have we have Caleb Underwood in the chat, and we have Caleb Richardson. Caleb, I don't like Caleb Richardson. I don't think we have seen you in a while. Well, welcome on back in. Or at least I haven't seen you on a live stream. I haven't been on the last two, so you might have been in the chat, and I missed you. So welcome on back. Of course,
Caleb, I
TC24
agree.
saying,
Let Sam Raimi be Sam Raimi.
yes,
Do it.
yeah. I think, like you said, John, when it was a Sam Raimi movie, it was really good. When it turned into an MCU film, it struggled. I agree with you, Jose, though. I love Shang-Chi.
That was good. Like when she came out of the
Yes.
gong, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That was like, again, when it's like being like a Sam Raimi horror movie. So
Mhm.
when he's got those Dutch angles going, when she's like crawling down the hallway going after him, like, okay, this is Sam Raimi. This is great. And then when it has to be a Marvel movie, it's like, this is terrible.
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
then
why?
Antonio, by the way, hello Antonio. He's saying, Destin, what's weird about his situation is, remember, he was going to direct one of the new Avengers movies, and then that went away, and then he was rumored to direct Spider-Man 4. Yes, I think he is directing Spider-Man 4, and I do remember he was meant to direct, I believe, the Kang Dynasty Spider. Oh, right, like that was the. Yes, and now that's, of course, the Russo brothers have come in as Doomsday, so they changed track. That's the thing. I mean, clearly they love him. They want to do more stuff with Destin Daniel Cran, but for Destin, it's
feel
interesting
like-
that he's jumped around 3 different movies, and because of the plan, he might not be able to direct the sequel to, quite frankly, like I said, probably the best MCU movie of the past 5 years. It's
well, I think it was like, I think what happened, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that we don't know about. Like we get, like, even from the insiders, the alleged insiders, all this other shit, we get like drops, and what we don't know is an ocean. Like that's, like these teeny tiny drops, little dribbles here and there, but what we don't know is all the talk. So I'm thinking like Kang Dynasty, he was on for Kang Dynasty for a while, but once the Jonathan Majors stuff started to like get ahead, they were like, okay, Cretin, clearly Kang Dynasty is not happening. Clearly we're desperate, so we're gonna get the Russo brothers back. Clearly we're even fucking more desperate to get RDJ as fucking Doctor Doom. So okay, as sort of a penance, as sort of like a, you've been with us, you gave us Shang-Chi, made a lot of money, a lot of people seem to like it, despite Awkwafina being in it. Okay, here's an idea. We can't get, what was his name? The previous Spider-Man director, John Watts. He's like, he's off doing Wolves or whatever the fuck.
I was gonna say Mark Webb, but I think you were.
Mark Webb was amazing Spider-Man. He's like,
I
okay,
just love the way in the Honest trailers they're like Mark Webb. What is that? Like some kind of double entendre? Like this is, I love it. I love it.
So
Like,
I feel like
he was born to direct.
They're
Spider-Man
like,
movies.
okay, we're not getting John Watts back because he's doing his own thing now. He doesn't want to deal with us anymore. So here you go. Have Spider-Man, and he's like, I got you. So he's gonna make Spider-Man. I have a strong feeling that they're gonna give him Shang-Chi 2 as well, but it's just gonna, I mean, here's the thing. Marvel gives no fucks about post-production, since like these guys have like 2 weeks to do it all anyway. So it's fine. He'll be directing like hip if it stands for hilariously intentionally parable. I don't know. But so they're like, okay, Cretin, here's Spider-Man 4. I have a strong feeling they're going to give him Spider-Man 4 and Shang-Chi 2, because there's no way they're going to, this is their golden child now. Because he got a fucking Avengers movie after directing Shang-Chi, which got like maybe mixed to positive reaction. I don't know. But so they're like, okay, here, have this, have fun, but you're also going to get a Shang-Chi 2. He's like, okay, cool. And I same with Caleb Richardson saying, I hope Spider-Man 4, like the thing I'm fucking hoping for, I'm so fucking hoping for, is grounded Spider-Man. I don't want to see other Avengers. I don't want to see multiversal nonsense. I don't even want to see the fucking symbiote. We got Last Dance. Let's leave the symbiote behind us for at least a little bit. We'll get Spider-Man 4. Tom Holland will put a gun to the writer's head, be like, hey, actually write Spider-Man and not Iron Man Jr., you fuck, and just pull a Henry Cavill and just be like, you better fucking write this character right. And we'll hopefully get a good movie out of it. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, like I'm hoping is more of a, streetwise Spider-Man who deals with
your
a
friendly
threat that's not
neighborhood
a
Spider-Man.
world-ending threat. Right, exactly. So I agree with you there, Caleb, as well. And in my introverted reviews with the whole this sequels being so spaced out, yes, it's kind of like the Batman Part 2. We'll probably get all of these
We'll get
movies before
Spider-Man
Batman
4
Part 2.
before Batman Part 2.
I think we definitely will. Isn't it scheduled for 2026?
Allegedly.
Allegedly, but we'll see. But yes, I do believe in my introverted reviews that Doctor Strange and Shang they will definitely, both of those characters will be in the next Avengers movies. There's no reason for them not to be. I think the big reason why Shang-Chi got moved around and then Doctor Strange got moved around, because initially the speculation is that initially both of these movies were going to tie in more directly into the multiverse saga, because with Shang-Chi, as if you saw the third Ant-Man movie, in the what would they call it, the quantum realm, like the design of like Kang's empire, like it's kind of ties into the design of like the 10 rings. So that's how he was going to connect into that. But obviously Kang has been written off, so they probably decided we're going to rework what Shang-Chi 2 is going to look like, which is why it's getting pushed back. It's just, to me, I hope we get to see Simu Liu in other movies leading up to the sequel, and probably the Avengers movies most likely, but maybe if he crosses over as a cameo in the next Spider-Man movie, maybe he's the Marvel character, like Doctor Strange was in the previous Spider-Man movie, that is involved in the next adventure. It would work for me. I'm totally fine with that. But then Doctor Strange, I think, yes, when he followed with Clea, right, with Charlize Theron into the multiverse. Obviously, I think they want to downplay that, and maybe because both of these movies now would come out at, I think, probably either around or after Secret Wars. So then you'll be in the Mutant Saga at that point. So I'm guessing they're changing up the stories to kind of tie into that saga now. Mm-hmm. But the other thing, by the way, this article points out is that Strange Academy has now reportedly, the TV show Strange Academy is reportedly now been greenlit at Marvel Studios, which would be basically like, School of Magic. So Benedict Wong's Sorcerer Supreme, Wong, it reportedly will take center stage, which to me, hey, that sounds like a fun show. He's training the new generation of sorcerers after the Scarlet Witch, devastating attack on Comic-Con.
We're still waiting on Mordo, who's like, there's too many sorcerers, and we never got anything in regards to that.
You know what, though? This would be perfect for them to tie that back here, because if Mordo all of a sudden becomes the big bad of the show, I know it's kind of a downgrade. It feels like a downgrade, but I wouldn't mind that.
Because he should be. What we should have gotten for Doctor Strange 2 was Strange versus Mordo. Like, that's what it should have been. But no, they got to set up their multiverse crap. So it's like, all right.
By the way, Monumental Comics saying Shang-Chi needs to be a souped-up kung fu film that could really take it next level and bring in Power Man and Iron Fist. You know what? Iron Fist would be perfectly, set up to be introduced in the MCU proper through a Shang-Chi movie. I wouldn't mind seeing that. Even though Shang-Chi is technically on the West Coast and he's on the East Coast, I don't know how that would work. But maybe he comes over on the East Coast for a week or weekend. Maybe he meets Spider-Man and all the Defenders
Hugo
or something.
Millie.
Hello, Hugo Millie. There you go, John. I'll let you have your moment with the Hugo Millie.
Hey. Just a nice break from talking about all these terrible movies like Mufasa and Shang-Chi and Doctor Strange 2. None of that here. We're just chilling now. We're just chilling about nothing. Just gonna take a break, ladies and gents. Let's go. We're not censoring the beard stroking either. No, this is dulcet tones at SSR 18108. Let's go. We're giving you smooth jazz tunes.
That is so crazy. I love it. I love it. This is what you come into the late, to end your day with us, or depending on where you are, maybe you're starting your day with us.
Sean, why did you get in my ears? I'm now gonna dial a 1-800 number. Hello. All right.
God.
John ASMR wasn't on my 2025 bingo card.
God.
Question:
Who had that
Did
comment?
John
Yeah,
like
God.
Moana 1? I haven't seen it. I can't judge the movie. I'm sure maybe it's the greatest fucking movie ever. I'm actually wrong. Like, it made $1 billion for a reason.
Are you
Blah
showing your
blah
age there,
blah.
Lenny? Who
Yeah.
dials a 1-800 number anymore?
There's porn right now, right? I know it's gonna get banned soon, but like, I'm just saying. Anyway,
You know what? The first Moana was good. Like Hosea said, the first Moana was good.
Moana 1 was great. Like, Moana 2,
It
I
had
don't
like
know
3 songs that went super viral, were nominated for an Oscar.
Moana was great. I liked Moana 1. I haven't seen Moana 2. I thought Moana was great. Like, I thought it was like the ending sequence is great. But it has been a while. It was like fucking 12 years ago at this point, 2013, and it's already getting a live action remake because we need to stroke The Rock's ego. So I thought it was good. I liked 1-800 Chris Terrio. No, ew, don't compare me to Chris Terrio. He wrote Rise of Skywalker. Get the fuck out of here.
No, that's the number that Lenny is gonna be dialing apparently, I think. Or at least Hosea thinks so.
Yeah, no, I did watch. I watched Moana 1, or just Moana.
Yeah, by the way,
good stuff,
Hugo
good
Millie's
animation.
comment. Yeah, they should continue to bring in new characters. I believe Fantastic Four just got added into Marvel Rivals, so that will be interesting. So, but yes, Moana, the first one was good. Obviously, they're trying to capitalize on the franchise moving forward. Yeah, the Academy, Wong's Strange Academy of Noah Sorcerers. Yes, that would be perfect. What was the name of that character? Like the chick that shows up and then Wong can't get rid of her. I'm like, we need to bring her back. Like, she needs to.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
Did you not watch the She-Hulk? Like,
no, I didn't watch that.
Okay,
I didn't watch that shit. Are you fucking kidding me? No, ew, gross.
Somebody tell me in the chat, in She-Hulk, remember the Benedict Wong episode where like this other, I'm forgetting the name of the actress and the name of the character, but it's hilarious because she's like playing this like party girl who's sort of like really aloof, and I'm like, she needs to be in this show because it's like Wong has no idea how to like deal with this because it's so out of left field, but it's one of those things that I was like, strangely enough, and pardon the pun, it worked for me. So I'm like, I would love to see that dynamic again. But John, Antonio had a question for you earlier. Maddie Sin, that was her name, I think. I forgot her character name, but anyway, thank you for that, Hosea. But Antonio asking the question: you guys think the Mickey 17 they will move Mickey 17 to March 17 or March 7th because they saw or heard the rumors of the box office potential? I mean, yes, Captain America 4 is meant to be making almost $100 million on this opening weekend. But it's still nowhere close to like what a really great Marvel
Deadpool
movie might
Wolverine
do, like Deadpool, which did like 163 or something, or like it was 250 like worldwide. So do you think Mickey 17 will move its date to kind of like, because they're not so worried about the competition?
I know that they've been. I know it was originally supposed to come out this month. It was supposed to come out in January. I forget which day. And then it got changed to April, didn't it? And then, wait, Antonio, are you saying it already moved to March 7th because of this rumor? Or do you think it's going to get changed?
Didn't they move it because they reshuffled their schedule this year? I wanna look it up. I wanna see if that is still.
Yeah, I don't.
Because I know that Warner Brothers shuffled. That's when we found out about the Batman 2. I think Mickey 17 also moved, so it is March 7th.
So it is March 7th.
It is
okay,
March 7th.
So yeah, legitly bad. Now that was something I did try. I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched one episode, and I'm like, this is garbage. So
I mean, it's scheduled to release a little bit earlier in Korea, like February 28th.
Right.
But yeah,
that makes sense because that's where Bong Joon-ho's from. So I think it'll be, I don't think it was because of that. It's entirely possible, but it's unlikely because like it's two entirely different movies. One's like a superhero Cold War thriller, and the other is like a sci-fi comedy, an over-the-top sci-fi like slapstick comedy almost. So I can't imagine why that would be a thing.
I mean, it did get delayed from last year into this year. I forget though if they moved it forward.
Yeah,
or
okay,
this
so
is the
March
date.
29th, because it was originally supposed to come out in January, then it got delayed to March 29th, and then it got pushed
to this year.
No, it got pushed to
No. March 29, 2024.
2024. Oh,
yes.
but I think didn't it like?
I mean, but I
know
think
it got
because
delayed.
no, they're premiering it at the Berlin Film Festival, which is I think starting up soon. So then it's gonna, or was it? Wait, in November 2024, the movie's worldwide release date was pushed back to April 18, and then Companion took over its release date, and then a month later they moved it forward, and then they swapped it with the Sinners release date.
Okay,
So yes, it was.
You're right.
April 18th,
Okay.
and
so
now
it was supposed to come out in
March.
March 29th of last year. Then it got changed to January 31st, and then it got changed to April 18th, and now it's March 7th.
Yes. A lot of confusion, but totally get it. I don't think it's a good thing that they've moved this thing around 5 times. It's not a big franchise movie.
No, Michael K. I won't be quiet. You can suck this dick. How about that? Fuck you.
Hello, Michael.
And learn how to spell quiet correctly.
Nice. Let's be nice. Monumental Comics earlier, you were talking about Titania. No, not Titania. I was talking about. I think Maddie Sin was the actress, but Madison. But is that the name of the actor? Or no, that's the name of the character. I forget who plays her.
What are you talking about?
She-Hulk. We're having a She-Hulk conversation. But yes, Mickey 17.
Also, I'll talk about The Rock however the fuck I want to talk about The Rock. All right, The Rock's a fucking douchebag. He's an egotistical asshole who doesn't understand how like the rivalry between Captain Marvel and fucking Black Adam works. He can fucking suck my dick. Like,
and PC24, you're right. I don't think it's because of the Batman delay. What they did is they moved it forward, then they switched it with the horror movie Sinners. So the Sinners is now coming out on April 18th, and then Mickey 17 is coming out on March 7th. The April.
Patty Guggenheim is the actress. Maddie Sin is the character.
There we go. Thank you. I mean, it would be great because can you imagine if Caleb's suggestion? I would so love it if it all of a sudden was like a mockumentary, like The Office style, and Wong was the leader of like the boss, and then if he had a mug that says world's best sorcerer, and you just want to do yes, give me Strange Academy done as The Office. That would be the best thing that MCU would have produced in a long time. And thank you, Manos, for the shout out on Patty Guggenheim, and then yes, Madison was the character. I would love to see her. Can you imagine just The Office?
So Michael K. is
America
calling
Chavez could be there.
So Michael K. is calling me a doshbag now. I don't know what a doshbag is. It sounds like it sounds like the Louis Vuitton version of a douchebag. That man's a doshbag. Yeah, it's quiet.
But Caleb is like, what the hell does hella flawed mean anyway? It just means it's really flawed, I suppose. But let's keep going here. Let's keep going. I mean, yes, the MCU, I'm sure we're going to talk about again, at some point in the show. And there's a lot going on. I'm looking forward to Strange Academy.
Desperate.
Now. But this is the other piece of news that I saw today, which kind of made my blood boil a little bit because as somebody who pays for the highest tier of Netflix, I think I pay already it's $30 some odd because I also have an out of house person who uses it, so that's another $5 on top. So to me, I'm like, they're raising their prices again. At this point, it's the cost of like a skinny bundle on cable. When you get the basic bundle, but then they're like, why don't you get this add-on? And I remember back in the day, you'd be like, you look at HBO and you're like, do I want to spend $25 a month for that? It's now Netflix is like, do you want to spend $40 just to get our service? It's just ridiculous to me that and it's it feels like these price hikes are coming faster and faster. Right? Because I think what's happening is they know that they're starting to hit their ceiling as far as subscriber growth. So they're like, where do we grow from here? So if they can't grow subscribers as fast as they want to, they're gonna start to do the price hikes, which
hike the price
now,
and then they're gonna lower even faster because nobody wants to fucking pay these prices for shitty fucking streaming services because Netflix just produces garbage now. It's I mean, yes, they produce great stuff like Dark and but they just don't produce that great of stuff anymore. So Their original stuff sucks. The movies they have fucking suck. So, like, what's the point? I can, go to Max. I can go to Peacock. I can go to Hulu. I can go to
but
fucking
still,
Disney Plus.
but they're not the
Like,
only
just
ones.
so much better shit. Like, people are gonna end in droves. Like, get the fuck out of here.
I will say though, as far as the quantity of things that Netflix has, and yes, I mean in general quality, because I think the floor for quality on Netflix is really, really low, but they also have so much stuff that you don't need to check out the shit that you don't care about and still have plenty to watch. It's almost like, I think Netflix's approach, what I realized a long time ago, Netflix wants to be like the only thing you have. Like they're like, okay, the people who love Netflix, that's all they have. They canceled cable and they got just Netflix. Like in Netflix's ideal world, none of the other streaming services exist, right? But that's how they treat their pricing model. And I get it, like for the amount of stuff you're getting from it, like, Squid Game 2 just came out and did huge numbers all over the world. But still, like for me, like who's subscribed to like all the big streaming services, it just doesn't compute, because I'm like, if I'm paying $18 for Max, I'm getting all of HBO. And I feel like the overall quality is way better. Like the worst thing on HBO is 10 times better than the worst thing on Netflix. And I think sometimes the choice paralysis hits me when I go on Netflix and I browse through and add 20 things to my watch list and then see 10 trailers and then eventually decide not to watch anything. I'm like, I just need Netflix to at least change their UI so that instead of throwing everything at the wall when you sign into the app, maybe customize it even more. Because I feel like that's what hurt. But the thing is, they want to show you like a million different things because they want to just keep you endlessly scrolling. But what happens to me is I endlessly scroll, then I just tune out. I don't actually watch anything. So but now this is also interesting here because Netflix did announce that while, they recently added 19 million subscribers in the fourth quarter of 2024, mostly because of Squid Game 2, which brings them, by the way, to more than 300 million globally, which is the highest of any streaming service by a good mile. They did announce that they're going to stop reporting, these subscriber numbers. Like they're not going to, in their quarterly earnings, they're not going to announce subscriber growth numbers outside of when they cross big milestones. This has been something that they've regularly done for the longest time, and what usually ends up happening is the stock price fluctuates based on if the numbers are better than what was expected or worse than what was expected. Like for example, like they were expected to make
erratic heart monitor.
Yeah, but like they were expected to grow like half as much in terms of subscriber numbers, like 8 million or something, and they ended up getting 19 million. So everybody loved that. But there's also been quarters where their growth has been a lot lower. So then, they don't actually, do very well. And so I think what they're trying to do now is they're like, look, Netflix knows what's coming, and that's that their subscriber growth is going to plateau because there's only so many people in the world who can actually subscribe to Netflix and be paying subscribers because they've gone past the whole password sharing thing. They've done everything they can now. I mean, like 300 million is like way more than any other streaming service. I think Disney's the next one that's closest when you combine all of their different streaming services. But to me, John, it would be interesting to see now how often we get these updates. Because again, like people look at it as a mark of success, but I think Netflix is now starting to, as a result of this announcement, or this tells me they're starting to focus more on, we want to make money, but that money that we're trying to make is not going to directly correlate with subscriber growth because they know that's not where everything is going to come from. It's the simple formula of add more subscribers is not going to bring in more money anymore. They have to focus on other things like raising their prices or other add-ons or more advertising, because even the ad tier is going up in price now.
It just, I know Lenny was saying like, oh, it'll sell to a big studio. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think they're gonna buy a big studio eventually. That's probably what's gonna happen.
Even though they're like fucking like 20 billion in debt at this point, probably more. So I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. Hello, Morkatna. We got you in the chat. Well, hello to you. Thanks for joining us. Yes, Mano's saying that's without mentioning the password sharing thing, and since they're number one, the other streaming services love to copy them. Exactly. But I mean, to be fair, like I understand the password sharing thing because it is lost revenue and they want to make it back, whatever. I get it. But like, I pay the extra $5 for like my sister to use my Netflix, and she lives in her own place, so like I have to give her like her own login essentially. But yeah. Lenny saying HBO are the only streamer that is consistent with high quality shows as they've been doing it for decades. Exactly. Netflix is good, but HBO is still better in terms of really good television. And then Mana's Time saying, keep in mind that not only do they raise the prices, they cancel shows quickly since they expect streaming numbers. They separate seasons in 2, maybe 3, and the quality of the products aren't always great. That is a big problem that I have with Netflix, because nowadays it's the problem is, back in the day, you would rely on advertising revenue and viewership for shows. Now what happens is Netflix will be like, oh, this show, like for example, Squid Game is done after 3 seasons. Like they will say, hey, 2-3 seasons, we've gotten as many people to join Netflix as a result of this show as possible. It's rare to see a show like Stranger Things that goes to 5 seasons, and even that is like
yeah, like Orange is the New Black. One of their OG shows went as far, like Stranger Things, House of Cards, Orange is the New Black. Those are the ones that like go, or they just cancel everything after a season because that's what it is now. Like I can't imagine like shows like from the 70s, 80s, 90s limited going past.
Exactly.
Like if those shows were made for Netflix in this day and age, none of them would go past like 1, maybe 2 seasons, because that's what it is now. And I'm pretty sure I used this analogy before. Like, look at Star Trek: The Next Generation. Season 1 was fucking horrendously awful. Yet somehow that got renewed for a fucking season 2, and then we like started to climb, and then season 3, bam, hit its stride for the next like 4 seasons. Was like fucking some of the best Star Trek writing like ever fucking put on the small screen. So you have all that, but like if that was made for Netflix, no way would have gotten past season 1. And it's just like set, like 1899 is a big one that I remember a lot of people, they barely marketed the fucking thing. Nobody watched it. But the people that did said it was like, this is fucking amazing, just like what Dark was. And then they fucking canceled it because they're like, oh, looks like the thing we didn't market at all didn't make fucking money. It's like, yeah, no fucking shit. You didn't market it. That's the same thing happened with like Disney was like, well, we want to close our 2D animation studio. Let's not market Treasure Planet or Atlantis the Lost Empire. Oh, looks like those movies didn't do well. Looks like we got to shut it all down. It's like, yeah, oh, who was the villain? Maybe look in the mirror. It's like, you're the reason why you're failing. So what the fuck are you doing, man? What the fuck are you doing? Like, and then you have like Amazon Prime and Apple TV.
I mean, Lenny's saying she only has it mostly for the free shipping, which a lot of people do, but
yeah, I mean that's going up now. Prime I would say is the best one, because Prime you get so much stuff for, I mean, it's a big, heavy like price tag, but even if you just get it by itself, like it's priced well. I would say. Priced well, but I like Retro and Alex. You get like the free shipping, you get this, you get that, you get Prime Music, you get Audible, you get this, you get that, you get like so much stuff with Prime, so the price is worth it. And that's the 2 big things. When you have something else, Netflix is just its own thing. It's just Netflix. Meanwhile, Apple TV Plus has, iPhones that, it doesn't matter how many of those movies or TV shows fail, because they have the most fucking popular smartphone brand that will ever exist for the next fucking however long humans are here for. That you have Disney, which they have the parks, like no matter how many Marvel movies suck donkey dick and fail, well, they got the parks, that's their income. Or you have Amazon Prime, which they have Prime, that's like a fucking $1 trillion industry at this point. So the best ones have something else to go off of. I mean, Max is kind of the same way, but it's just like WB has so many subsidiaries at this point that it's just like they have like a million other things. Like they have the news and all that other shit, so they can get all that. But
one point I wanted to make quickly, which I think, well, not even me, I think it's something that Kayla pointed out. Like Netflix, they're not even trying to be just a normal streaming service anymore. They want to be your new cable package. That's like the entire thing, because they've started to, because Warner Brothers started to license all of their stuff out last year, right? So like recently Barbie is now on Netflix as well. You have all these other things. So they're trying to give you literally almost anything you want. Now they have Monday Night Raw, they have other lives, like they had the NFL games on Christmas Day. They're gonna have more live shows and probably they're gonna get into award shows in the future. They have games on there. I was like, oh, there's a GTA game I can stream on Netflix. I'm like, great, I'll do San Andreas. Like it was like the last GTA game that I really, really loved, even though I had fun like GTA 4. But yeah, I mean, I think ultimately with that being the goal, you're just gonna continue to see they're diversifying now. It's like Apple, right? Like you're gonna have your Apple Music, you're gonna have Apple Fitness, you're gonna have Apple Arcade, like everything that they can possibly shove in your face. And in the process, what happens is, Five Ash Art saying, I wanted a sequel to Break Into Electric Boogaloo and it didn't happen. Or like the Old Guard 2 went missing. I know you're joking, but like the Old Guard 2, where is that? Or Bright? Nobody's gonna. I think, Lenny, you were being sarcastic, but I don't think we're getting a Bright 2 anytime soon.
Caleb, I just have resting bitch face. That's literally it. I just have not even resting bitch face, just resting fuck you face. That's just like I always like, I always look pissed. Like it was funny. I just saw Bryan Cranston, like it was an interview from a while ago where he's like, if I just have like no emotion, if I'm just like, it's just my face, I'm just like, I look like I want to fucking kill somebody. And so I was like, that's not the intention. That's just my face. I've rested like every time I go downstairs, I'm just like walking and I'm just walking down. I'm like, I'm going to grab some breakfast. And my mom's always like, why do you look so, are you angry? Like, why are you so angry? I'm like, this is just my face. I can't like control it. It's just like, that's just the resting face. That's just how it happens. I'm sorry. Like, smiling all the time hurts. So it's like, I gotta go like this. I gotta, be smiling all the time.
We appreciate it. I mean, look, by the way, Five-ish Art's talking about Vice City is better in terms of at least the style, like the art style. I mean, to me, those things, the games kind of blend together because I didn't judge them that closely. I just enjoyed playing San Andreas more because it had the local multiplayer mode. You can play like 2 players locally, so it's so rare now. Like I don't think any GTA game has before or since had a local multiplayer mode. So like, you would find all the cheat codes and then you just come up with like your game within a game and have fun. And like the person playing with you is sitting next to you versus like, on the other side of the internet. So, but no, Vice City also had great, stylings, and San Andreas was pretty good. I enjoyed San Andreas. So, but yeah, I mean, look, Netflix is diversifying and they're charging you for it. So I know a lot of us have different opinions on it, but let's see. Maybe Netflix's subscriber growth will crater because the prices are too high. They're going to hit a ceiling eventually where the cost is so high that it's no longer worth it. And then when they start seeing a dip in subscribers, then they'll start to plateau their pricing. And hopefully, we'll have, the ability to then drive through our dollars, vote on which service we want to keep and which ones we don't want to keep around. But hey, we gotta keep the ball rolling.
Ride the high seas. Just do that.
John's opinions are his own. Do not reflect that of the channel. We do not recommend piracy. John's lawyers are talking to him about that right now. But in the meantime, while John talks to his legal team, we have to talk about quick hits because we do, as always, we're gonna have to get into the quick hits because there's more news that we have to get into. So let's do that, shall we? Let's get into the quick hits. Let me see where are the quick hits. Here we go. All right, so John, Sonic 4 now has set a March 2027 release date. We heard not too long ago that they've greenlit Sonic 4. The third Sonic movie has just become the highest grossing movie in the franchise. It's turned the franchise into $1 billion franchise, and now Sonic 4 is coming back to our movie theater screens before the Batman 2. What are your thoughts on this, John?
This is great. I'm so happy. They also released the logo, and the 4 looks kind of pink.
March 19, 2027, by the way. Yep. We have an exact date.
March 19th. Let's go. 5 days after Pi Day. I don't know. I was kind of thinking of anything. But yeah, it's great. Love Sonic. Love our blue boy. I want to see more. I want to see spin-off. I want to see all the things. I want to see more Keanu Reeves' Shadow, because that was like the best performance of his career. So let's fucking go.
He loved talking about it. I feel like everything he gets asked about now is Sonic related. Unlike the man did John Wick, and there's a new John Wick movie coming out, or spin-off coming out this year. By the way, we have Mr. Carter in the chat. Hello, Mr. Carter. He said that San Andreas is the best GTA game of all time. We should get into that conversation sometime, because I think those GTA games, I have thoughts, and I'm sure you guys too. Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the best games Rockstar has ever made. I will agree with you on that. Jose is saying, wait, everyone was saying Sonic 3 was going to make $1 billion.
I think that was...
It was never going to make $1 billion. Come on. But still, it's making almost 500 million, which... plenty good for me. It's like the John Wick movies, right? Like, if there's a certain ceiling, these aren't going to be $1 billion movies, but they do more than enough for them to keep making more of them. And considering that each one has made more than the last, I mean, John, like maybe the Sonic 4 does get us close to $1 billion.
Let's do it, guys.
March 19th, 2027, before the Batman Part 2 comes out.
I'm still just happy that the autistic Sonic fans beat the Disney adults. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. And my autistic friend said I can make that joke, so don't be mad at me.
Great. Perfect. Well, let's move on to the next story, shall we? So this one here is a special shout out for Fiona and for Lenny, because we have some news from across the pond. The Glasgow Film Festival has set the James McAvoy event, opening and closing movies from Scottish directors, which includes, the survival thriller Tornado from John McLean. I think that one stars. Is that the one? Yes, that one stars one of my picks for the next James Bond. That is Jack Lowden. Jack Lowden is in Slow Horses. He's playing the ambitious son of a criminal gang lord, right? So that's him right there. That's him right there. I just wanted to point this out, John. Any thoughts on this? Are you looking forward to it?
He is looking like he's sniffing her hair. Pulling a Joe Biden on that one. Goddamn.
It's also gonna nice throat. But Lenny's saying love James McAvoy.
I mean, I can't judge the guy on like that fact, but like, that's this is all pretty cool. Yeah.
Look, I enjoy, with like my favorite Scottish actors playing James Bond. It's a tradition. Why not continue the tradition? Obviously, Daniel Craig was off the beaten path in that sense. But Jack Lowden, everybody, he's gonna be in one of the movies. Glasgow Film Festival, Glasgow. We should. It's not the biggest film festival, certainly. Like Berlin Film Festival is happening now. We're gonna have Toronto, Cannes, all those as the year goes on. Sundance is starting up soon. But I just wanted to point this out. Special shout out for Fiona and Lenny, who will probably want to go check that out. I may or may not be in the UK in that time frame, but anyway. Breaking Bad creator Vince Gilligan to receive Patty Chayefsky's Laurel Honor at this year's WGA Awards. I apologize if I butchered Patty's name, but John, what do you think about this? Getting a special recognition at the WGA Awards this year. Vince Gilligan, one of the best working producers in Hollywood today.
After they completely and utterly fucked him over by not giving him any Emmys for Better Call Saul, which I'm still fucking pissed. That show still holds the records of most nominated show that didn't win a single award. That's terrible, because Better Call Saul, I would say, is arguably better than Breaking Bad. So I'm still fucking salty about that. This is somewhat of a nice compensation, but fuck you, Emmy, Academy, whatever the fuck the Emmy institution is. Fuck them, because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They gave it to fucking Succession 1 trillion times, but fuck that show. Fuck that show. Better Call Saul is where it's at. So, but this is great. Love Vince Gilligan.
5 Eshard with his James Bond casting. I don't know who that is, by the way, but yes, Vince Gilligan deserves every bit of success that comes his way. He's done the work. Speaking of which, William Shatner has done the work, because William Shatner, that is, alongside Back to the Future, will both be recognized for their roles and contributions to the sci-fi fantasy genres at the Saturn Awards.
Interesting tag team, but
I mean, well, because obviously, one is getting the actor honor,
and one's getting the movie honor. Yeah.
Honor. So, of course, this is coming from the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films. The award show is going to take place. It's not really broadcast, but it's on February 2nd at Hilton Los Angeles Universal City Hotel. John, what do you think? William Shatner, Back to the Future. What are your thoughts on the contributions that those franchises and, of course, the great William Shatner himself have made to the science fiction fantasy genre?
Deserving. I mean, I know William Shatner's an asshole, but like, you know what he did with Star Trek, and you know what he did with that franchise. Get a life. You know, it was awesome. Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies of all time, so that's definitely deserving. Yes, Captain James Tiberius Kirk.
I mean, I don't know, John. Can you give us a preview of his acceptance speech, maybe? The iconic James Kirk.
I just want to give a nice thank you to all the wonderful people here who gave me this achievement and this award. I can't, thank you enough. And there's something on the wing. Okay, that's all you get. Well, that would be impossible because William Shatner is American, and he can't get a knighthood.
I don't think you get a knighthood, but there's like another thing that's like a step below that, technically, that you can get if you're not British. But yes, Jose is saying Better Call Saul was amazing. Five Ash Art has been rewatching Breaking Bad. Yeah, the motion picture and Wrath of Khan are a couple of my favorite movies. Yes, Five Ash Art, Star Trek the motion picture, and Wrath of Khan. Wrath of Khan, I mean, one of the best Star Trek movies, period, if not the best. Yes. The motion picture, they did a whole re-release recently, right? They remastered it, redid the effects. I think it's a few years ago now, but it looked way better, more like what they intended originally. The first one definitely catches a lot of flack, but yeah, I mean, look, William Shatner, he's one of, if there was a Mount Rushmore of sci-fi, yes, William Shatner would be on there. There's something on the wing. It's like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would say Mary
That's
Shelley.
gonna be in our new show intro. That needs to go in there. Oh, I'm gonna hurt my neck doing
There's something on the wing.
Clearly, you've done this a lot more than I have.
Giant teddy bear on the wing.
Yes. Well, William Shatner, congratulations. Back to the Future, congratulations.
Gross.
And speaking of congratulations, Trevor Noah has decided to return to host the 2025 Grammy Awards.
Mop it up.
All right, then. Okay. I enjoyed Trevor Noah's brand of comedy,
I don't.
at least.
Anyway.
Timothy Chalamet's Bob Dylan film, A Complete Unknown, has topped the UK and Ireland box office. John, thoughts? Lenny, thoughts, since you are in the UK?
Never saw it. I like Timothy, so he's cool. I like the UK for the most part. They're cool. I haven't seen the movie. Oh, yes.
I guess,
and he lives in North America.
Qualifies?
He lives in North America, so he's technically American. Shut up. Anyway, I'm just kidding. But yes, you're correct. He's Canadian, but he's technically in North America, so I'm not totally wrong.
But maybe if he's Canadian, because that's part of the Commonwealth, maybe he does qualify to be knighted. Right?
I don't think a Canadian has.
I don't know
knighted.
if the rules are. For
I think it's just like born and bred in like UK, like that specific.
But yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Apparently, Ron's saying that Timothy Chalamet wants to be Nightwing. Does he? Was that a thing?
No, I can't imagine that. No. I can't imagine he wants to be. Plus, he's too old now. Nope.
Lenny's saying you're wrong, John, by the way.
Plus, a Nightwing, I don't want to see him as a twink. Like, I don't want that. Like, I want him to be, like, muscular. He's supposed to have a nice butt. Like, he's supposed to be big, broad. That's what Nightwing's supposed to be. I think a lot of ladies would
disagree with you on that take, by the way. Just saying.
I can't imagine Timothy Chalamet being Nightwing. Maybe like Tim Drake, but again, that's still too old. So, like, maybe he could be a good Aqualad, like Garth. I know everything. I'm in the Mobius chair. I know.
Yeah, Caleb was suggesting earlier a Wong versus Morbius movie. I would watch that.
I would watch
that. Yes. Yeah, A Complete Unknown will get many Oscar nominations. But Timothy doesn't have the body type for
like I'm just saying, like, Caleb, like, if you got a nice dump truck, I will comment on it. Like, like, don't do the double stand. Like, just objectify everybody. Quote me on that. Add it to the list.
Where's that comment about Josh Allen? Where was that one go? Has that disappeared into the ether?
No, I saved it in another folder.
Oh yeah, okay. I need to find this because, like, you said, what was it? Was John? There you go. John 11:14. I'm not gonna say the rest, but yes. See, John is all about that life, man. And that too. There we go. That's why we are here late at night or in the morning, depending on where you are. Canada has the Order of Canada, or Duo de Canada, says Elite Easy. So William Shatner could get a sort of a knighthood. Does that qualify? Maybe it does. Have a shot every time Lenny says you're wrong, John. You'd be effed. Yes, Jose. It would be a long night. It would be if you had $1. Okay, Lenny's saying Dame Kiri Tikanawa is from New Zealand, John. She has a damehood. There are many citizens she has that have an award from the palace. John, you pissed.
Okay, Five Ash, what are you doing? Why are you mentioning blue waffles? Nobody wants us to think about that at all, ever again. Please, no.
Well, I mean, with that, I think that brings us to the end of today's quick hits. So we're gonna wrap that up there, John. If you wanna tune out that music for us, we're gonna get back at it tomorrow with more quick hits. But I mean, that was fun. You know, let us know in the chat if you like the news and the quick
Five
hits.
Ash,
We're
I'm
not
gonna
done
fucking
yet,
ban you for that fucking comment. I
What?
want to shave. You will shit over my dead body. You could try with your fucking cold dead hands. Try to fucking shave my goddamn beard.
Dang. Well, Lenny, if you can get a hold of John, you're welcome to give it your best shot. You'll just have to find him. I'm not gonna dox him for you, but you're welcome to get in the DMs with those who are curious, and I would be happy to give you the address.
I have a machete under my bed, so just keep that in mind. And it's rusty, so it would hurt. So I'm just saying.
You're not only gonna hurt them, but you're also gonna infect them, so they die a long, slow death. Damn. Oh, Asher Angel, not a good pick because he looks young, has a baby face, but he showed older pictures and his latest.
Caleb, do not Google blue waffles, please, for the love of God. Caleb, please do not Google blue waffle, please. Don't Google that. I know you're going to do a reverse psychology thing. Oh, I'm going to do it now because you're telling me. Please, I'm telling you, don't. My eyes were spared, luckily, because I was smart enough to realize to not Google it. I would say at the most, go to Urban Dictionary and look up the definition of it, but like, don't Google it. Don't, just please, for the love of God, don't.
By the way, Asher Angel, I think today he's old enough to do it. He's aged up pretty quickly, and by the time the movie comes out, I think potentially he could work as a Nightwing. So
yeah, well, Lenny, you Jamaican me crazy, all right? So, like, goddamn.
John has that I got a rusty screwdriver and I'll shove it somewhere energy right now.
I'm pretty sure I'm sure my dad has a rusty screwdriver somewhere.
Dude, yes, John is definitely on a do not test him. Lenny's like, now I want to give you a bloody nose.
Yeah, not if I give you one first. The hammer of justice is unisex, so I fully believe in that respect. Thank you, Diedrich Bader, for that one.
Yeah,
Jack Dylan Grazer. Are we talking about Nightwing? I think Asher Angel or Jack Dylan Grazer. I would say Jack Dylan Grazer, I think, would be better for Tim Drake. Asher Angel, I could definitely see as Nightwing. I think that would be awesome. Because now he's definitely like built now. He's definitely like more muscular. So I think that could definitely work.
Why am I catching strays, Caleb? I have nothing. You don't have beef. If you don't have beef, I don't know.
Like why it's just like that's not even about you.
It's like where did this come from? By the way, dude, yes, you know what, Five Ash? You are right. I saw the news forecast today, John. They're getting like 4 to 6 inches of snow in Louisiana. And like parts of Florida, or more. Like it's gonna be like crazy because remember when Texas got snow? It's like everything got shut down. Because in the Northeast, like we have all the infrastructure to deal with it because we get it all the time. Like even a couple of days ago, it snowed here where we are in Connecticut. But I mean, holy cow, it is weird. By the way, Five Ash, I agree with you. Hope you're staying safe, and hope you got yourself a shovel so that you can get your driveway clear. Because it's
why is now Caleb is like, do you want beef, John? I am an equal opportunity crime fighter.
Yikes! Ron fell for the trick. By the way, that's yikes.
Yeah, Ron, come on, man! You're not supposed to Google that. Come on, what is this? Come on, guys, you're better than this. You're better than this.
Yep. Well, everyone deserves beef, according to Caleb. Well, you know what? Speaking of beef, welcome on to another episode of DCU Daily. And of course, as always, we've got lots to talk about. And yeah, we're going to get into it. We're definitely going to get into it. We have already been getting into it if you've been watching along with the news and the quick hits. But, John, today we have to talk about what James Gunn said, which I mean I feel like we do that every day. But anyway, James Gunn recently said something that was very interesting, and we're gonna get into that in a little bit. But before we do that, because I almost forgot, I promised you guys we're gonna do a little Q&A session. So we're gonna. I mean, it's not like we haven't already been doing it, but this is specifically in reference to. I put up a post on the YouTube community tab earlier today, and I asked, "Hey, give us your best questions, and we'll answer them on the show. DC related, anything else really, but we prefer DC related." So you guys did. You guys, what are you doing, John? What is going on?
Let's go. Beautiful.
I have no idea what John is doing. Is there?
I'm like sucking my lip, like where you suck the spit from your lip and you. Like that.
Okay.
I just cracked my knuckles.
Jose is saying change. Yeah, what James Gunn said. We should definitely do that.
John is kissing the air. I am kissing the air. I know. I'm giving Lenny. Lenny, I'm giving Lenny kisses because she needs a kiss right now because she needs to calm down a little bit. She needs a little
she
kiss,
thinks
a little
you're
bit
out
of a
of your
nap.
mind. She thinks you're out of your damn mind.
Well, you're not the first person nor the last person that will think that. Who wants to be in the right mind? That's boring. I want to be out of my mind. I want my brain to be over on the other side of the room.
I'm just saying, you know what, guys? If you need a ring and you need to sort out some energy and get into a tussle, you're welcome to do that. But Lenny and John, while you are at that doing that, we have a few questions to get into. So, as I mentioned earlier,
Lenny.
We collected a few questions off that community post. If you are on YouTube and you were able to enter your question in there, great. If you haven't already, drop your question in the community tab. We will pick that up, and we'll do more of these in the future. We want to do these on a regular basis. Questions you have for us, and then we'll bring them up. I'm sure you can chime in if you're in the live chat. If you aren't watching us live, you can drop your comments down below. But let's get this started with the first question from O'Shea Goodman. So O'Shea asked, what project do you think James Gunn is pre-writing right now? Now, this question ties into what we're talking about a little bit later, John. So we're going to get into it in a little more detail, but if you had to give him a short answer, which project do you think James Gunn is currently pre-writing?
Quick answer, The Authority makes the most sense because I remember somebody saying that was like his passion project, so I could definitely see him, maybe not directing it, but I could see him writing it.
Okay. Well, to me, did you say The Authority? You said The Authority, right? Just now?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I think I'm on the same page there. But there's more to it than that. We're going to get into that a little bit later. We have the specific quote from James Gunn. But good question, O'Shea, and stick around if you're watching because we'll dive into a little bit further, maybe do like a top 3, what's most likely, what's out there that doesn't have a director yet. But the next question also comes from O'Shea because he left us multiple questions.
According to Hosea, it's Chocolate Hercules. So, what? I don't know.
Is that a movie?
That's just they were like, my good friend O'Shea, Chocolate Hercules, as he likes to be called. Interesting.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, also. Who said it?
Manos, I want to let you know, I don't think Tom King has 0 good books. I think I've read his Visions, the beginning part of his Visions run. I thought that was very good. So my belief is that he can't write DC. I think he can write Batman. Or I think he can write Marvel. I just don't think he can write DC. Definitely can't write Batman.
By the way, Vala, good point. It could be the Batman movie, but we will get into that a little bit later. We do want to talk about that as its own little topic because there's so much to talk about.
I would kick Tom King's fucking ass. I would be the champion of the people who fucking despised his Batman run.
Okay, all right, John. Let's get back on track. Yeah. All right. Well. Let's get into the next question, shall we? So the next question that we have on the list, this one again from O'Shea Goodman, he asked, how do you think DC will market the DC Elseworlds along with the main DC projects so that it's not confusing to the audience? What do you think?
I mean,
that is a really good question.
James Gunn did say that they're working on like a different intro for it.
But I mean, I feel like more than just the logo. How do you?
No,
feel like
I'm going to. Well, I was going to mention that, Dan, but then you cut me off. You didn't have to cut me off. Like, come on, man. Just like go to you. You didn't have to cut me off. But I think I think that the logo will help, but I think like maybe in like trailers, in like a new look on the Batman, a different look on the Batman, like that kind of thing. Like that would be like mainly TV spots where they have like a narrator, like this summer coming to your screen is the Batman Part 2, like that kind of thing.
I'd love to see like a throwback like that. That'd be great.
But no, I just think like that, like this all new, all different like something like something quotable, like a tagline. It's like different from what you've seen before, or not a part of your world, or something like that. Like a tagline, something surrounding the marketing, like nothing you've ever seen before, that kind of thing. So I think like it would be heavy on the marketing, just like promising something different, promising something that's not like the stuff we've gotten before, not just in this continuity, DC Studios continuity, DCU continuity, but like different from like, you know, Tim Burton's Batman, Joel Schumacher's Batman, Christopher Reeve's Superman, like that kind of thing. So I think that would all, I think that's but to answer this question, I do think that they'll, try to showcase in the marketing like quotable taglines to like really showcase like this isn't part of the same stuff. I think that'll really get it like in people's heads. But again, no matter what they do, they're gonna just be like, all right.
Yeah.
Like, Kevin Feige being like, somebody just congratulated me on Blue Beetle. Like they
Well, so I think like overall marketing wise, having obviously the logo, because this is the thing, right? Like they'll do a custom intro, logo treatment, and everything. So with DCU projects, they're obviously saying, they're saying, like in the Creature Commandos, it was very specific. From the director of Guardians of the Galaxy comes a new DCU, James Gunn, and all that stuff. So while all of these things will have DC Studios branding, this is the thing. I think what's a little bit confusing is everything is now under the DC Studios banner, right? Outside of the stuff that's kind of a holdover, like the Joker Fall You Do, a little bit. I think even Harley Quinn he mentioned was sort of like one of the holdovers, but everything moving forward is going to be under DC Studios. So my question would be, do you still get the DC Studios logo and then you get the Elseworlds logo? So then maybe like what they will do is if you have a movie logo, then over the movie logo it will say DC Studios, and then next to it it will say like how Disney Pixar movies are? Like remember they used to be Pixar's, but like now it's Disney Pixar. So you'll get both the Disney logo and the Pixar logo and then the movie logo. So maybe that's how they do it on posters and movie trailers and stuff, or marketing collateral. But then as far as outside of that, I feel like yes, when you see a trailer, maybe from DC Studios comes an Elseworlds tale, The Batman Part 2 took forever to get here, or whatever. Like, it's, we'll get to see more of what James Gunn means by like how they're doing a separate intro. But I think early on, that's the best we can come up with. Hopefully, people won't have too hard of a time differentiating between the two, because most people are smart enough to kind of notice, oh yes, this thing is not connected to the bigger universe, like its own thing. Like most people will not confuse the Batman with the DCU. They look so, especially when you have a Batman in the DCU, they're like, wait, the two can't be the same. So yes, but good question, excellent question. Now this one, John, I think is I think it's for the both of us. This next question, but. What are your thoughts? Who is hotter according to Honey Putani? Cool name. Is it David Cornsweat or Henry Cavill? You misspelled both names, but we'll let that pass. What are your thoughts, John? Who's hotter?
Hotter, like the alternate universes of Corn, Sweat, and Cavill. It's Corn, Sweat, and Cavill.
The Elseworlds version of that, yeah.
Yeah. Henry Cavill's definitely more attractive, but like dude, that jawline, that abs, just like everything.
Abs, yeah.
Like don't get me wrong, David Cornsweat's a very good looking guy. He's got the height, the height that the ladies crave. But Henry Cavill, I would say, is overall more attractive. But like they're both like pretty good looking dudes. Like, and I'm saying this though, because look at me.
I'm just,
as Lenny said, I look like an ogre. So like,
who's got the better bulge? I mean, that's not a question, but
I don't know. I've seen,
Who cares? Actually, I shouldn't even brought it up. Now now guys are gonna beat me over the head with that anyway. Hello. Wow, I just said that too. I just walked into another double entendre. Hello, Caleb, by the way. He's saying, I think we shouldn't care if the audience is confused or not. Anyone that's stupid deserves to be confused. I knew the average person doesn't keep up with news or has ever read a comic or read ever. I don't care. Fair, but you still need to bring the average movie audience along so you don't confuse everybody, because then they won't go to see the movie and the movie won't make any money. They won't make any more of them. You know what I mean? Like, you should try to keep the marketing, clear and concise. But I hear you, what you're saying. Why are you spreading lies with Dan loves the bulge hashtags and the
hashtag Dan loves the bulge? Let's go.
Ron's like,
Lenny,
come on, you don't want David Sweat. I do not want David Sweat.
Am I an ogre or am I not an ogre? But although, to be fair, just like ogres, I have layers. I have layers.
Antonio, by the way, is saying Cavilla's. So I guess so far,
Cavill. I would say like, here's the thing: Corn Sweat's like an 8, like Cavill's like a 10. Like that dude is like so many dudes would fucking go gay for Cavill. Like that's just like facts. That's facts. Like I'm just saying. Don't give me awkward silence like I'm fucking weird. Like I've seen the people. They have made their choice.
I'm just gonna I'm making a poll. You guys can answer this question in the chat. Who is hotter? Is it Henry Cavill or David Cornsweat? Feel free to vote in the live chat. Antonio already gave us an answer. TC24 talking about Batman Rebirth. That would be a great comic book to adapt. Jose is saying you're not an ogre, bro. They're obviously green. Duh. There you go. That's the reason why. David is hotter. Caleb saying, well, get in the poll. Let us know. Awkward silence indeed. Sorry, Caleb. I was trying to do two things at the same time. But Manos Time putting a quote here on the screen for us. According to one of the scoopers, quote unquote scoopers, Rachel Brosnahan gives a standout performance as Lois Lane, possibly making herself the best iteration of that character in film. Not something we haven't heard before. I believe we had similar comments like this from some inside source like a while ago. And I mean, James Gunn has obviously, touted her as a great pick for the movie because, of course, like he's the director. Why would he not say that? I think like Rachel Brosnahan probably is the best actress, like objectively speaking, who has stepped into the role of Lois Lane ever. So the potential is there, but we don't know. We haven't seen the movie yet. So like, I mean, art is subjective. We can all go watch the movie and half of us can love her performance, half of us can hate it. So we'll just have to see when the movie comes out. But yeah, I mean, until then, I mean, thanks Manos for bringing that in. And yes, get into the, I mean, thank you, Hani Putani, which I think Ron's saying that was him. Ron, do you have two accounts? I don't want to miscredit the question, but there you go. Jose is saying Amy Adams was the worst Lois Lane, not her fault.
Yes,
the script.
100%.
I do not agree with you. I do not agree with you.
Dope.
I think she was a good Lois Lane, not the worst. I mean, yes, the scripts weren't always the best. Valak saying I'd love to see Henry back in the DC Elseworlds to do the Death of Superman. They already did the Death of Superman with Henry Cavill though. I don't know if they want to repeat that particular storyline, but I wouldn't mind seeing him come back in an Elseworlds capacity, even if it is just to do a crossover and like a Crisis on Infinite Earths kind of a story. But yeah, I would love to see that. Ron saying Kate Bosworth was the worst. I mean that movie again wasn't the best either. So like it's. Some of that goes on the movie script. I mean, I personally think Man of Steel is one of the best Superman movies ever made. If not, it is the best in my opinion, actually. So I know I'm in the minority on that. Now, before I get you guys started on that debate, the next question we have, again, this is the third question from O'Shea. He was very enthusiastic, but asking great questions. This one, John, I think is very interesting. He's asking, do you guys think the sneak peek we're getting from James Gunn on February 9th, which is at the Puppy Bowl, which is also the same day as the Super Bowl in the US, that James Gunn and Ozu, his dog that our version of Crypto is based on in the DCU, they're gonna release a new sneak peek at the movie. So O'Shea is asking, do you think that sneak peek on February 9th will be a clip, a short little teaser, or a full trailer, John?
Here's the thing, what I'm betting on. I'm betting on a revised Superman trailer where crypto is more of the focus. Since they're kind of doing the puppy dog thing, they're going to have more crypto. They're going to have as much crypto as they can without spoiling stuff. It's going to be more of him. And it's essentially going to use a lot of the same footage from the trailer we got, because I thought we were going to get like the first trailer was going to be for the Super Bowl. Now I think we're just going to get like a TV spot that's like maybe like a little bit, maybe just the trailer during the Super Bowl. Who knows? But in terms of the Puppy Bowl, I think like we're going to get the special thing there, which is like essentially the same trailer, but like re-edited with other footage, but that is more crypto because it's the Puppy Bowl and they're trying to showcase for that audience. So I think we're going to get more crypto, but essentially the same trailer.
Yep. By the way, in the chat, Manos Time saying, I love Man of Steel as an Elseworld story, but falls flat as a mainline Superman story. Well, I mean, that was the mainline Superman story at the time, but you can remember it as that. I mean, Five Ash Art also talking about how, yeah, Superman did save a lot of people in that movie. I mean, yes, if that's your complaint, then, the movie shows that. But, there's a lot of destruction. There's all the criticisms. There's a few scenes that people completely misinterpret to this day. But anyway, to answer the question, John, that you just answered, like you said, I think we'll probably get another trailer, but I think it's the full trailer. I think that's going to be the first full story trailer, and we're not going to just get a Ozu focus thing. Let me change my answer a little bit. I think what we're going to get is a sneak peek that is crypto focused. I said Ozu, but Ozu's the dog that crypto's based on. He's James Gunn's dog. He will be at the Puppy Bowl with James Gunn, and they'll give out like a special award. It's meant to be like a whole marketing thing that Warner Brothers is doing. Which, by the way, if you are watching, you want to watch the Puppy Bowl, it's going to be on Animal Planet, so you can check it out on if you have Animal Planet on your cable package or whatever. But in general,
package. I think hashtag the bulge.
Hashtag the bulge. But in general, I think at the Puppy Bowl, they're gonna do something that is that is, I wanted to say Ozu related, but that is crypto related. So either a trailer, like you said, which will be maybe like an inside look at sneak peeks, and maybe not a full trailer, or maybe just like a little scene from the movie. They might even do that, or part of a scene that involves crypto. Maybe we get an extended look at this scene where he's going to rescue Superman. But I think the same day we're gonna get a full trailer drop, because they're gonna use that as a means to say, oh, if you want to see more, you can watch the full trailer online, and then we'll probably get something similar as an ad, like a short 30-second version of that on the Super Bowl, broadcast, and then people can go online and probably watch the full trailer. It would make sense, February to July, that's enough time to build more hype. And I think that they'll have plenty of other means and ways to then give us like maybe a final trailer. Then like maybe say in April or May or maybe July, not July, but like maybe the latest June. But if you remember, like the Batman, for example, had 2 full trailers and 1 teaser trailer, right? So it's you don't need more than that, if even 3. So to answer that question, long story short, I think we're going to get at least, like you said, John, and a crypto-focused look, whether it's a trailer, a clip, or a scene. But then I do think we're getting a full trailer for the movie on the same day. But that's my guess. I mean, you guys let us know in the chat what you think about it. But next question, Buster Barnes, he left this comment a while ago, and I think this is an interesting one, John. He was wondering if now Brave and the Bold is delayed a bit, maybe Muschietti, the movie that he was talking about directing before he gets to the Batman movie, is Clayface. Like maybe he'll direct Clayface, and then
1, I pray to God that doesn't happen. But 2, I just think that's, I just don't think that. I think he was talking about like his own. He was saying a sci-fi movie, and he's like, I think he wants to do his own project before he does that, even if he's still attached to Brave and the Bold, which I don't think. It's just like, I hope James Gunn replaces him, because it's not just these comments. It's not just the fact he directed The Flash. It's just, the idea of like just not being invested. It's like, oh, I'll do it eventually. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
It's just like that's not cool. I don't think that that's the case. I don't think he's gonna direct it before or instead of. I think for now he's just directing Brave and the Bold, and unfortunately, and that's it. I don't think we're gonna be getting Clayface from him. I think that would
Yeah.
be kind of dumb.
Yeah, Mana's Time also saying like maybe this whole DC universe gets split into three. Like James Gunn focuses on Superman, Matt Reeves focuses on Batman properties, and then they bring in somebody else to do Wonder Woman stuff, which would be interesting. I don't see evidence for that just yet, but it's an interesting theory. Um, but to answer your question, Buster Barnes, I do think it's possible they can have that be something Andy Muschietti works on, but quite frankly, I don't think that's what he was referring to when he was saying I might do another movie before the Batman, Brave and the Bold. But yeah, I don't also I like John. I really don't think Andy Muschietti would be a good fit to direct Clayface. But you know, the only reason why he would be a good fit is because he's done the It movies. But it would really depend on just what this movie is meant to look like. I know it's meant to be a grittier, darker look, so maybe they're thinking thematically it sort of has crossovers with what he did with It. So in that sense, it could work. But if he's doing that, then I might then get somebody else for Batman. I don't want to wait so long because Clayface is not coming out till next year, and it doesn't go into production till later this year. So if you're worried that he's already too busy to direct Batman, then Andy Muschietti, if he takes on Clayface, then that means the earliest he's going to even tackle Batman is like late 2026, at which point we're not getting it until 2028 at the earliest. So I'd rather he not just get him. Like, I hope we get an announcement in a few weeks that the Batman Brave and the Bold script is good to go, and then Andy Muschietti says, you know what, I'm working on it. Like, I hope that happens so that we get that movie sooner. But
also, I agree,
we'll
Lenny. Lauren LaFranc should do all the Wonder Woman projects. I hard agree with that.
It would just depend because she keeps saying
I know
every time
she's doing just the
about
backs,
it.
but like
No, that's not what she said. Every time she's been asked about it, she's like, I would just need to find a way to connect with that story. She needs to just find her way into whatever story that she would be trying to tell. Which is like, yeah, exactly. It's fair. By the way, I do see all the conversation about the Man of Steel merits in the chat. I am loving it because I personally love that movie. So I'll argue with anybody all day long, but while you are having that debate, please be civil in the chat. We do not want you guys to
Wait,
get into any kind
what
of
movie are they
fight.
talking about?
Man of Steel. Like the whole chat was going off about that. By the way, Gilgo's90 is in the chat. Hello. He, she, or they are saying, hope we don't have to wait too long for Justice League members like Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman, or and the other ones. And he's also provided some fan castings like Ardia Arjona, or Ardia Arjona.
Lenny wants a cuddle
Wonder
from
Woman.
you, Dan. Why don't you give Lenny some cuddles?
I mean, I don't know what I can't. If I was this was Wonka Vision, I would come through the screen, but I can't really do that. So, Man of Steel does have its positives, Elite Easy. But with that in mind, let's move on to the next question, shall we? This one comes from Manos Time, of course, who's in the chat right now, asking. I think this question came in earlier while we have been live. So he said, when it comes to comic book accuracy, what does comic accuracy actually mean if the quote-unquote accuracy even in the comics doesn't make sense, since more times than not they contradict events? Like, there's different versions of characters, different stories that sort of don't line up with each other. John, what do you think? I mean, this is more of a philosophical question, but where do you land on the comic accuracy?
I think, and I actually have a video on my channel talking about this too. I think comic book accuracy, comes down the thing that should be taken into account is the core of the character. If the core of the character is there, then that's all that matters. I would personally, I would like to see the look right. But like, just like, and in terms of other like decisions like race swapping and stuff like that, I would say have like a good reason for that. Like make it like have a point. And I would like to see the look. I prefer the campy look, but if we're like bottom none, if you don't feel like, if it doesn't feel like the character, then it shouldn't. But the thing is, the trouble with that is there's the entire like lineage of comics. There's pretty much every iteration that you could think of has been supported in some way, shape, or form. So that's kind of a hard thing to do. So like try to do like a like blanket basis. But I'm saying like the character, like usually from mainline continuity, depending on the era. You could do like, because Superman from the Golden Age to the Silver Age to the Bronze Age to the Modern Age is all different. Hell, the Modern Age has like 3 different interpretations. So, but I would say the core of the characters. That's for me. That's what I think. That's most people can agree on is the core of the characters. If that's what I'm thinking about when it comes to comic book accuracy. Now, again, but in terms of me personally, I would prefer the look. Yes, I think world building is also important, but if we're talking about what, if you're like giving me like, okay, one thing you could talk about comic book accuracy, what it means, I would say the core of the character. That's like bottom none. But I have like also other things that I could add to it that I think could be comic book accurate. But in terms of like blanket statement, I would say core of the character. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think comic book accuracy is a very, very relative term when it comes to adaptations, because adaptations, by the very nature of the word itself, means that you are changing things to be optimized for the medium that you're telling that story in, right? So if you're adapting a comic book into a TV show, you're gonna do it differently than when you do it to, adapt it into an animated project of any kind versus a movie. And it's hard to adapt something from the comic book panels directly to screen, because the way we read a comic book is very different the way we experience that versus what we see in a movie theater or on our TV screens. So as far as accuracy goes, like what Lenny said earlier, as long as you get like the core of the character or the spirit of the story right, I think the rest of the details you can switch around a little bit, right? Because you're never gonna do a word for word adaptation of a comic book to screen. It just wouldn't make sense. Like it's the dialogue wouldn't work really well. It's, you may have long periods of time where all you're seeing is like action and like no dialogue at all, or there might be too much talking at times, a lot of monologuing, which just doesn't work in the movies. So
he starts monologuing.
I know, exactly. It's just, you just can't do that. So yeah, comic book accuracy, as long as you get like the core of like the themes of the story there, the characters feel authentic to what you saw in the comics or read in the comics, I think that's the best you can do. Beyond that, I think it's objective, or subjective rather. It depends on the filmmaker and how closely they want to stick to the events of a comic book. For example, Anna Nogueira wrote Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and adapting a lot of it directly from the comic book. So we'll get to see just how many of the events in the comic book itself will be in the movie. Where will they have changes? It's like, Captain America: Civil War, very different from the Civil War event in the comics, but at its core, they adapted the idea that these Avengers are going to war with each other over ideological differences. So you could do something where it feels close to the comic, but also still
you can
different,
like make it better. Like like Civil War is an example. I personally didn't care for Civil War, but a lot of people, a lot of comic book fans who read the comic, they're like, yeah, the movie was better because it's simplified. It wasn't as ridiculous. It actually served a point. But okay. But or like fucking Logan is essentially a good version of Old Man Logan. Like that's, I, as someone who has read the comic and watched the movie, Old Man Logan, that comic fucking blows. Like Mark Millar is just, he can write good stuff. When he's doing his own thing, he's good. When he's doing IPs, he's just no. But Mark Millar, he can be good, but like when he's doing his own thing. But Logan was essentially just the basic bones of like a Western kind of dystopian thing, but just going completely different, like an old version of Logan. So that's what I think. I think that's
no, exactly. I agree with you
that can work.
Yes, you can steer off the beaten path.
Hell,
still do
catering too far to a comic could also be a problem. Look at the Phantom, like that Billy, like where he's wearing the fucking purple condom throughout the whole fucking movie, and you can't fucking take it seriously because they wanted to like adapt the comic where he's wearing this fucking stupid ass, like he's in the middle of the jungle and you see this fucking like Grimace fucking walking through with a domino mask, and it's like I can't take this seriously at all. So, adapting the comic too much could also be not good. But like, so there's like a whole thing of like adapting too much cannot work, adapting so little cannot work. It's a whole thing of like, and I think it's just like it comes down to the writing as well, just like making a good story. Like James Gunn with Superman, he's not adapting Superman for all seasons and All-Star Superman. He's just using those, but creating his own story. That I like the most because it's like if I want to see an adaptation, I'll listen to like an audio drama or put on screen. I'll walk out. Yeah. But it's like, yeah, it's the writing is also a major factor, I think. So I think there's like a whole bunch of different directions you can go. So just core of the characters and writing a good story and just adaptations like audio dramas or like animated movies. That's where straight adaptations should go if you want to see that stuff. But if you want to like go for more loosey goosey, that's the live action stuff because there's only so much you can do in live action that you can't do like and especially with like rights issues and stuff like that. Civil War was like a big proponent in that because they didn't have the rights to X-Men, Fantastic Four, Power Pack and stuff like that. Those which were a big part of the original comic
The
book,
whole
so they
event,
couldn't
yeah,
include that. So I don't know why I mentioned Power Pack. That was just the only other weird thing I could think of. I don't think they were even in the original comic, but yeah, like or like Runaways and stuff like weirder things that you wouldn't think. And we got a streamlined movie that a lot of people liked. So yeah.
I mean, that's
just
what
at the end of the day, like I would
comes down
want
to.
like some of the comic aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like Lenny was saying, the world building. I think that's another good thing. This is a very shaded great question. You could talk about this for hours. You can have an entire 4-hour separate live stream discussing comic book accuracy. It's that like there's many layers. It's that in depth. It's very shaded gray. So it's like whatever it is, it's a lot. But like from what we're doing here is like there's some bits and pieces I think should be a through line, but not even for everything. So
Yeah. Now the next question again, I wanted to kind of tie this because Manus Time, you had a great question here, so I'm gonna bring this one in from you as well. You said you were asking earlier when you said Tom King can't write DC, are you speaking in a general sense or he can't do it at all? John, I think that is specifically for you. What do you think?
So I was saying, I think I partially answered this before. I've only read one thing of his from Marvel, and that was The Visions. I think I have it on my shelf. My friend gave me, he's like, this is really good. I'm like, okay, cool. So I read it. I thought it was really good. I haven't finished the entire run. It was just like the first, like, I don't know, like 10 issues or something like that. Not even 10 issues. I thought that was really good. I thought that was a really interesting idea of like, that's what WandaVision should have been. It should have been, if you wanted to straight adapt a comic, they should have done the Visions, but with Wanda instead of this android wife. Now, I didn't know the context because it's like from a run that there was a little bit of context there, but it was essentially Vision has like his own android family and like but it's like trying to work in like kind of like a modern 50s suburbia kind of thing. And like, what goes on and chaos ensues and like him wanting to become more human, but like does his family have those wishes and like all that. So those were like really interesting ideas. It just Heroes in Crisis was terrible. I read one issue of his Batman run and I thought it sucked that I didn't even give it the time of day. Mr. Miracle was mediocre. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. And I think that's about it from what I've read. I've read two things that I think were at most it's like mediocre. But I think it's just from what I read of DC, from what most comic fans think of Tom King writing at DC, they just have not liked his stuff. So, just from what I've read, I have not cared for it. So
I have limited experience and exposure to Tom King. Woman of Tomorrow so far from what I've read is great, but beyond that I I haven't read a bunch. So as far as I know, he's done good work. I like the artwork that he posts. I know he's not the artist for the artwork, but he's been doing this for a long time. James Gunn clearly trusts him, so I'll put my faith in James Gunn and see what we come up with in the coming years with Lanterns.
What are
and
fucking
Woman of
people
Tomorrow.
talking about in the chat? One's talking about coffee farts. One's talking about like Eddie Murphy and the Nutty Professor. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Also, no, I haven't read Human Target figure drawing.
Manus Time saying, based on what you have said, should we look at comic book universes like the MCU, DCU, and even the DCEU as its own separate universe?
I think like they shouldn't be
like from the comics.
That's why
that's what Kevin Feige keeps saying. Like, is the MCU is not the comics. It's you can't like
which
it's not
is fucking
another,
stupid because in the movies they say, oh, this is Earth 616. No, it's Earth 1999999. That's what it is. What it was originally as. So keep it that way. Earth 616 is the mainline comic book universe. DCEU, DCU, those are like in part of the multiverse, which is definitely confusing because with the Arrowverse, it like sets up another Crisis, but then they try to make the original Crisis canon. But it's fucking weird. But yeah.
Yeah, the reason why they did that in the comics is like you can't really do the same because why they will do it in the movies, it will be a different reasoning entirely. So yes. But yeah, Jose is saying my YouTuber friend runs a comic book store and they also don't like a lot of Tom King. So hey, there you go, John. You got something in common with them. Oh, thank you, Steven. I think I could use a cuddle. Oh, I'll reach out and cuddle you through my Wonka vision thing when I get a chance. But yes, the Terrifics could be a great addition to the slate, by the way, Gilgos. I would love to see that. I would love to see if we can get a Terrifics movie added to Chapter 1, but like again, that would be pretty much a spoiler for Superman, so that's probably why, if it is in development, they haven't announced it yet. Let's get on to the next question, shall we? So this one comes to us from Steven Ortega, who I believe is still watching. He asked, do you expect for Supergirl to get leaked leaked set photos soon? What do you think, John? Do you think we're going to get leaked set photos from Supergirl? I know right now, I think they started filming at Leavesden Studios in the UK in London.
Yes.
So that's all behind a soundstage. Like, it's like where I think Superman early on did that too, and we didn't really get much because obviously, like if in order for you to get the photos and sneak them out, that means you are somebody who signed an NDA and you violated it, and that means you can get in trouble because they can trace it back to you. So I doubt that will get out. But I mean, John, what do you think we'll eventually get those? Or when they start filming outside of the soundstage?
There's probably going to be some. I don't think we're going to get them immediately. Like, obviously, they're filming right now. I expect like something in like March or April because that's probably when they're going to start filming. Because I mean, look at it this way: Superman started filming in February. Yes, wear the vest more, Dan. I like the puffy vest more personally.
Yeah, you think so?
Okay. But I think and remember, March, April, May, and was it June or July when we first started seeing stuff on set of Superman?
It was no sooner than June, I think. But yeah. That sounds
3 to 4 months, 3.5 to 4 months.
Like they shot in Norway, in Svalbard. They did all the stuff in the studios.
I imagine.
Then I think almost the last thing was the ones that they did in Cleveland and Cincinnati.
Yeah, so I imagine we're going to Cincinnati. So I think that's when we're gonna get stuff. We're gonna get stuff in like April, like because that's like 2.5 months, and I feel like this has less stuff on the ground, like on like location, because it's all going to be essentially in space and on alien planets. So the majority of it is gonna, interesting.
You're just trying to start a fight, Caleb. That's what it is. But anyway, you're saying, John.
But I think we're going to be getting those in like maybe April, May. I don't think we're going to get those immediately, but I would say. That's a
No,
good
I
one.
think Lenny was saying it was May, but I mean, it would make sense though. The timeline would make sense, and I think Superman photos we started.
Yeah,
to get late
Lenny,
May,
I'm
early
hoping
June.
we get some
So
sooner rather than later, but I'm just trying to have like the mind of like, oh, the Superman stuff, they're probably gonna have less stuff on a soundstage or less stuff on location, sorry. Yeah. I think they're gonna be doing that. So I hope that we get stuff sooner rather than later. March at the earliest. I would say May at the latest.
yeah, we're gonna see it
I don't
soon
know why
enough, but
Super
probably
has
not
a
immediately.
accent on it, but
Yeah. Steven saying like maybe we should ask the people if James Gunn's next movie is The World's Finest. We still have to get into that. That's still on the list of topics we're gonna talk about. But let's move on to the next question. Quick one from Figure Drawing from earlier. John, did you like Human Target?
I haven't read it.
All right, well there you go. I liked Human Target in the animated Justice League shows. So yeah, hopefully we'll get that character in the DCU eventually. But
Steven Anderson,
like
you
a
don't know where I
big
live,
one.
so you can't send it. Haha.
Steven
I'm a
Anderson though
horse?
asked a question.
No.
John, do you think Gunn will take influence for his DCU Batman from the Absolute Batman comic book run?
Nah, too new. And I
Yeah.
don't think Gunn is writing it.
Right. That's you're right. He's not writing it. I mean, at least not that we're aware of. But yeah, let's keep going here. So we have one last question. This one comes from Lenny. She just asked it. We'll end the questions here for now, but if you have more questions, drop them in the comments below. We'll pick them up and do them next time, and answer them next time, I should say. But Lenny saying or asking, do you think James Gunn will add some of the Asian heroes because Marvel has Shang-Chi? Of course, we're gonna get a second Shang-Chi movie in a few years, and I'm sure Shang-Chi will be in the next two Avengers movies, John. So do you think DC will try to bring in some more representation from that part of the world?
Yeah, that would be nice because it's like I feel like, I mean, all deserving, but like I feel like I feel like the minority that gets a lot of like press is black people, and that's fair. There's the in terms of minority, the most is black people, and that's we gotten like Black Panther, we're getting new Captain America, Blade, and there's only ever going to be one Blade. We're getting all these characters. We're getting Jon Stewart soon. We've gotten Black Lightning. We've got a lot of these great characters, but I feel like Asian people are a little bit represented a bit. Because I feel like black people and Hispanic to a lesser extent also, but Asian people, I think they should add some Asian heroes. I don't know who, I don't know specifics. Like the only one I can think of is New Superman, the Superman of China, which would definitely bring in tickets if they do make that movie, because China would probably love that shit, eat that shit up. But I don't know anyone specifically, but if people have something in mind, I don't think they should do like a martial arts hero, because I feel like that's too stereotypical. I would want someone like that's just like a hero that just so happens to be Asian. I think that would be better.
Yeah.
I don't know, just like because it's just like, oh, let's do like the Asian version of Iron Fist. Oh, let's do Richard Dragon, but make him Asian. Like, I just feel like that's one, again, you're giving them sloppy seconds of white characters unless you're specifically doing the Asian version of Iron Fist. But I feel like that's just too stereotypical. I mean, unless they really want that, unless they're like, yeah, unless like actual like Asian people are like, yo, give us more martial arts stuff, that's what we want, then I would say go for it. But I think it would be nice to see it just so happens that the race is Asian and the ethnicity is Asian, and they're just a hero, and it just happenstance that they're Asian. I think that would be nicer to see, but I'm just like fucking pull a bunch of fucking Chinese, Korean, and Japanese people and Vietnamese, Laos, all those guys, and just be like, hey, what do you guys want? And they're like, well, we want this. They're like, okay, we'll do that. Cool, awesome, great. And then they'll do that. So I am but a humble white man, so I don't know like what the people want. So I can't really say on that respect. But whatever they want, I think do that. Fuck me then. But like I can't
look, it's
I can't speak for the other races.
I would appreciate more Asian heroes. I do appreciate the representation in Marvel with whether it's Miss Marvel or whether it's with Shang-Chi. I enjoyed those projects immensely. I would love to see more representation that
Five
way
Ash art.
in DC.
I just hope they do a movie with a bunch of black lesbians. We need more of that. Lenny, do you think that's what you want? I'm just curious. I'm genuinely curious.
I would love to see Katana. I mean, Katana would be a great pick. I don't know, John. Did you mention
Katana?
already? You might have already mentioned.
Dr. Light. I mean, we just did Dr. Light the other day.
Dr. Light would be fantastic. That would be perfect. Why not do that? So yeah, I mean, there's plenty of options. So we'll get into that. By the way, I did say that's the end of the questions for now, but I did note down a bunch of questions from all you guys. I pulled in questions. I know, Jose, you said you had some questions that you wanted us to get into. We didn't have I basically pulled the questions before we started the show. So if you guys were commenting on the chat, on the community tab post, I should say, where we were asking for the questions, and you did it after we went live, then I didn't get a chance to get to those. So I will get to those the next time we do the show. So we've got questions in the pipeline from Hosea. We've got questions in the pipeline from Elite Easy from Gilgos 90, from Manos Time. So we've taken those down. We'll get into those next time. So we'll bring them back into the conversation later. But it's been great so far. Lenny's saying goodbye, but I mean, Lenny, we're not quite done yet. We have one more thing to talk about, which of course is the big James Gunn thing we teased right at the beginning of the show tonight, which was, of course, his comments regarding his next DC project. He's saying that he is pre-writing something. So here's the quote specifically. You guys have been asking about this already, and we sort of have answered it in some, and in some ways, but I want to get into it in a little more detail. So this is what James Gunn said. He was asked by Nerf Herder Scruffy Looking on Threads, while you're balancing the post-production on Superman and Peacemaker with pre-production and generally working on with the respective teams on other DC Studios projects like Supergirl, Lanterns, The Batman, or Sergeant Rock, basically asking what are you working on something else? James Gunn answered to that saying, the bulk of my time is dealing with post-production on Superman and Peacemaker, but I'm also spending a fair amount of time pre-writing my next DC Studios project, and watching dailies and offering ideas on the other projects is much less overwhelming than when I was directing. So that begs the question, of course. He's spending a fair amount of time, according to James Gunn himself, pre-writing his next DC Studios project. He keeps it purposefully vague. Pre-writing means he's probably just writing a concept, maybe a treatment, but he says project, so we don't really know what that means. Do you think, I'll start there, John. Do you think it's A, a movie, or B, a TV show?
I think it's a movie. I don't think he would do a TV show especially with Creature Commandos and Peacemaker, because that's like a continuous thing. I don't think he would add a third TV show. I think he would do like a second movie. I don't know if he would direct it, but I could see him writing it. Something.
Yeah. I think for me it's probably a movie, because I think when he says he's pre-writing something, so far everything that he's written, he's had some level of directing or producing. Like, he directed episodes of Peacemaker. He was not somebody who directed or show ran Creature Commandos, but he was heavily involved because he wrote it. He's obviously watching the dailies. He got all the voice recording sessions. He was part of many of them. That's how he got all the the smooching stuff from Rick Flag Sr., Frank Grillo, and stuff. But yeah, I think if he's writing it, then most likely he's either going to direct it or he's going to produce it, and he's going to be very closely involved. I think this is a movie because, why get involved unless it's a movie? I don't think he's writing the next season of Peacemaker just yet. I don't think he's working on the next season of Creature Commandos just yet. Because if he is, then he would be farther along. I also think that given that Creature Commandos, he wrote the first season, he's probably more comfortable letting Dean Lorey take the reins from here. Like, let him to do it, and he's gonna chime in. Peacemaker season 3, I think, like I said, it's too early to get into that. Maybe he has an idea for it, but I don't think he's working on that. I think whatever he's working on now is something different, and it's most likely a movie. But John, speaking of which, do you think, whether it's a movie or TV show, what could it be? Do you have a list? Do you think there's a most likely, candidate? What do you think James Gunn is pre-writing right now?
As I said, I think maybe the Authority. I think that would make sense considering that I remember somebody mentioning that that was like a passion project of his, and that's what he really wanted to do. And I mean, that's why it's chosen because it's like, okay, Superman movie, a Batman movie, Supergirl. All right, Swamp Thing's kind of weird, but like, yeah, it's a character that's been done a lot of times in the past, like more times than you would think. I mean, the man has gotten 2 shows and 2 movies, and I think he's even got an animated show. Um, so that I feel like would make a little more sense, but the Authority is from the Wildstorm universe. It's weird. It's very niche. So why the fuck would you do the Authority? Now, personally, I wouldn't want to see James Gunn write or direct it. I think it would be way more interesting if you get like if it goes for more like hard-edged 80s action, like something like the 80 like an 80s Dirty Dozen kind of thing going on. I know Dirty Dozen was in the 60s, but like, and I mean Dirty Dozen did make a cameo in Creature Commandos, so there was that as well. So
It's
no,
meant
it's
to be a
not supposed to
movie.
be a show. It's supposed to be a movie.
The Authority is supposed to be a movie.
There was like a rumor that they're changing it into a show, but it was bullshit. So I think the Authority would make sense, or it's something we don't know about. It's one of the two. I think it's either the Authority or something we don't know about, because the Authority, we've got nothing in regards to that. And I think James Gunn is just continually working on the script. But the thing is, since he's also working on Creature Commandos, Peacemaker, and Superman for the longest time, whatever place of wherever it is in production, whether that be pre-filming or post, it's all these other projects, so he hasn't had time to work on it. He hasn't had time to really talk about it. So he's just gonna, kind of just keep that in the background until he's like, okay, I have a rough draft. I have a first draft. This is what we have. It's not ready yet, but I'm working on it. But he just hasn't said that because he just wants to fine tune it, make sure it's right, make sure it's proper. So I think that's what it is. I think he would get somebody, based on what? What do you mean? What are you talking about? But I
mean,
think
he's saying, like, do you think that he can make the Authority something that people care about, the general movie-going audience? But then, okay, John, go ahead. I think you.
Before 2014, did you fucking know what the Guardians of the fucking Galaxy were? That's a serious question. But if you did, you were one of the like 3 people that fucking knew what that is. The man can do the same thing for the Authority. I'm just saying, like, if James Gunn is writing that and possibly directing it, they're like, the Authority.
He is the man for the job, right? Like, he's the man. He's done everything. And Guardians of the Galaxy were even more obscure than the Authority are as characters. Like, believe it or not, like in the comics.
Because
like,
at least, like, yeah, it's just like, come on, guys, come on, think with the brains. And I do want Animal Man. I agree. Get Chris Pratt as Animal Man. Let's go. No, I'm just kidding. But I think Animal Man would be an awesome choice. But it would have been awesome if like we got that in 2024, since one of his most famous stories is The Last Days of Animal Man takes place in 2024. So that would have been pretty cool. But I think the Authority makes the most sense, or it's something we haven't heard of before. Like, and he's just like, I'm just kind of doing my thing. And if he's setting up to pre-write it, it's definitely not, Creature Commandos 2, because I think that has been in production more than we know of. Exactly. They don't know, and it's like, here's this thing, and then Guardians of the Galaxy, the biggest fucking thing ever, and then
but the thing is, at the end of the day, it has to be a good story. The first Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the best MCU movies ever made. That's why people like it, and then all of a sudden now they're familiar with the Guardians, and then you keep going with 2 more movies, and each one was great in its own right. So like you still got to make a good movie. You can't just put out schlock that people don't care for because it's a terrible film. Like even people who love Star Wars will eventually fall off the cliff, like, with the rise of Skywalker. Like, you can't take people's, hard-earned dollars for granted. That's what matters at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, the goodwill that Superman can bring, like you said, Ron, if they hit it out of the park, that will go a long way towards helping to establish these other lesser known projects. And then Paradise Lost, I mean, it could be that James Gunn works on that. I do believe that's something he's probably going to get like a writer's room with other showrunners to work on. I don't think that's something that he will be working on. That's too big of a project for him to be pre-writing by himself. I'd rather that, focus on a movie that he can do. He's more of a movie director than a television person, even though he's done a lot of good TV for DC already. I would prefer that he works on a movie if I had a choice. By the way, guys, if you are watching, please hit the like button if you haven't already. We see like half of you have, but if you're enjoying the show, then hit the like button. We do appreciate it. I agree with you, John. As far as the movie is concerned, The Authority feels like the perfect fit for James Gunn. Like, right. That's the one. That should be the one. I can't think. I mean, yes, some of you guys are saying maybe Matthew Vaughn was rumored as a director for The Authority. It could be, but I don't think Matthew Vaughn wants to do anything that he's not writing himself these days. He wants to continue the Kingsman saga. He wants to do whatever. If Apple gives him money to do another Argyle or whatever, he wants to do that. He wants to do stuff that he's writing, and he's producing a universe where he's in charge of telling the stories. I don't think at this point in his career he's looking to do another franchise, but you never know. Maybe James Gunn convinces him, but because his sensibilities would work for The Authority. But yeah, I feel like that's a perfect movie for James Gunn to tackle. It's a huge film for him to tackle, but and that's where I'm a little hesitant. Like, why jump into that straight away? He's got plenty going on. He's also a studio head. Like, he's gonna be involved in everything going on, and he's got his hands in all the different pies. He's, like he said himself, look, I'm looking at the dailies. I'm offering ideas on other projects. So to on top of that then take on The Authority immediately might be too much. But if he's pre-writing it and just working on the treatment to then hand it off to another writer, that's fine. If he's pre-writing it and doing a treatment because that's something that we won't get for another few years, because I imagine The Authority, the earliest we're getting it is 2028 or 2029, that's fine by me. But then again, by that time, will he also be considering making a Superman sequel? And will he then want to direct a Superman sequel? Or will he hand that off to somebody else? I'm like, that's if I had to pick, I'm like, if it was between the Superman 2 and The Authority, I would say James Gunn stick to Superman. If the first Superman is good enough to be something that gets a sequel, then stick to that. I would like to see that more of. But Figure Drawing asking, name one DC animated movie that's in your top 3. For me, Under the Red Hood comes to mind. I don't like most of the recent and semi-recent animated styles that DC uses. I agree with you. I feel like the styles of animation have gone out of hand. I like the Flashpoint Paradox that they did. That was
that was good.
I think that one is in my top 3. Manos Time asking, what are dailies exactly? Not familiar with the term.
Dailies is like the footage you take that day.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Basically, how they film for like 3, 4, 5, 6 months, depending on the scale of the movie. And every day they will shoot a certain amount of footage for a scene, part of a scene, and basically the footage that you get from the particular day, then the director can watch it back at the end of the day. That's what they call a daily. It's an old Hollywood term. It's pretty directly, it's once you know what we're talking about, it's pretty straightforward. The dailies are the footage from that day. Back in the day, what used to happen is they would take the dailies, like they had assistants on set, literally runners, like who would take the footage because it was literal film, run it to, a post-production house where they would develop the film, or they literally had companies that were only there to develop film, and they would develop it, and then they would turn it into something that was watchable, because obviously you can't just roll it off the film itself. And so you would get negatives, and then that would get turned into like film that you can actually watch, and then they would watch it back. And even today, I mean, for the movies that are shot on film, like Christopher Nolan famously still shoots on film, that's still the process. Like, so there's a bit of a delay. You can't just be like, okay, we offloaded all the footage from the cameras, let's watch it back. You have to kind of wait a little bit for the processing to happen. So you have to kind of build that into your production workflow. And usually films that are shot on film take longer because of that, because but it's also, there's like a certain, I think John, you'll agree with me, there's a certain mystique
je ne sais quoi about film.
Je ne sais quoi about filming on film, because like Nolan has said this, like you don't quite know exactly what you got until you develop the film, so like you'll still get imperfections. Like even on some of the recent Christopher Nolan films, there might be a shot that they use in the final cut of the movie that we get to see where the focus was slightly off, but they could only they eyeballed it when they were filming it, but they didn't have the chance to watch it back because they couldn't just hit play immediately and see if it was perfect.
Right.
But they were it's good enough to keep in there.
It's kind of funny, in college when I was actually working with film, which was a fucking bitch, by the way, and it was mad annoying. Yes. And it's funny because some of my best movies that I made in college or were a part of in college were the best ones I made. Like the movies I made that were on just like a video card that we could watch almost immediately, they were not as good. Like my freshman ones were fucking terrible, but the one I made, the capstone I made in junior year was fucking terrible, and it was just like a lot of miscommunication, a lot of like poor like work between the people. So that's what happened. But my sophomore year is when I worked with 60mm film. I had a Bolex, and this was back when I had hair. Fun fact. One of them was not very good because it was like it took forever, but another one was like half of it, because like when you're dealing with film, is like you gotta have your light levels be really good, because like even if it's like if there's like a light and it's still not enough, because you have to be like extremely brightly lit in order to like even have some sort of mood lighting. So pretty much half the fucking movie was just black because I did not read the F levels that well. So it's so there's like a whole thing with it of like, and the thing is I didn't get that footage. We had to ship about like 2 states away because there's not a lot of like video labs that do that anymore, especially for like colleges and that kind of thing. But it's ironic how like some of like my best, outside of that one, some of my best looking movies were my 60mm films that I made, because it's like the restrictions help you. I feel like Alfred Hitchcock, look at that. Like Psycho is a big proponent. Like he impeded himself majorly, and look what we got.
It sort of preaches perfection inherently, because you would have a limited number of rolls of film available to use. Even on big studio pictures, you would have a limited number of film rolls that you can do. There was also a limit on how long a shot could be, because it depended on how long a roll of film could be. Like you couldn't do a oneer that went on for 20 minutes because your film would run out. It's like, and so it taught you to get things right. It was almost like you were doing theater but with film, but like it forced you to be better at your job. It's like, I think Clint Eastwood still does like have the same kind of approach, where he'll be like, as soon as he gets the take that he likes, he's like, all right, we're done, moving on. He's not gonna be like, give me another version of that just in case. He's like, no, I got it, we got it, moving on. He's very straightforward, to the point, and he makes great movies. The dude is like,
well, not anymore. Apparently, Juror Number 2 is his final movie.
Really?
So.
Well, yes, but still, like, he's still, to this like 8 decades into his career, quite frankly, like he's been making movies, and I just love the way he does it. It's like old school. Christopher Nolan does it that way. I believe Denis Villeneuve films on film, right? Like the Dune movies were shot on film. I think Zack Snyder also prefers when he can, but he's also got a very digital style because of the shots that he likes to create. So there's a lot of directors out there. It's not cheap. It's expensive, like you guys said, and it's hard to do it on a small budget these days. Like you said, like you have to get it developed at labs. There's not as many of them around. A lot of the studios have in-house facilities, so unless you're working within the studio system, it would be hard for you to get access to the resources. but you can still kind of get that look. The film look is still something that everybody clamors for, and there's a reason for that. So, yeah. But I mean, hey, it looks like James Gunn is working on another project. I think our bets are it's probably The Authority. If it is a Lobo movie, I think that could work really, really well. Clayface, I wouldn't mind giving it a shot, but I think that's too small of a project for James Gunn to take on. Or maybe it is a perfect thing for him to do because it doesn't take him away from, it won't be a behemoth that was Superman. So, yeah, I mean, but let's see. But, like, he's pre-writing it. He's not writing a script. He's probably doing a treatment for it. So maybe he passes
Lobo
the
is
treatment
definitely
off to another writer.
contender, because I feel like that's definitely gonna we're definitely gonna get a solo movie of that. Even if Supergirl doesn't do well, we're definitely getting a Lobo solo movie.
Yeah,
they wouldn't
cast
get Jason fucking Momoa
Yeah.
to not have him headline that character in a major film.
Yeah.
So James Gunn would definitely, I think, fit that style. But I would get someone else. I would get, like, as I said before, get a comedy writer, action director. That's what made Deadpool 2 work. So I think they should stick with that.
Yep. Exactly. I agree. By the way, before we finish up, I just wanted to give you guys an update on the poll in the live chat. We asked you earlier because it was one of the fan questions that we brought into the show. Who is hotter, David Cornsweet or Henry Cavill? And I think right now, earlier on, David Cornsweet was winning, but now I think definitively,
yeah, it was 61%. A tie for a while, but now it's 61.
It flipped, and very much now in favor of Henry Cavill, who's winning with 61%, and David Cornsweet sitting there with 39%. So there you go. I mean, hey, but still, two great Supermen. I mean, so far we've only seen a trailer with David Cornsweet. We've yet to see a full movie, but I'm sure we'll get it soon. It's coming our way in literally like 4.5 months, 5.5 months. We're getting closer and closer every day. So with that in mind, guys, as always, if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching and you're not subscribed, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button so you know when we have a new video going up. Hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. We're back tomorrow and the day after and the day after and the day after that, because we're here Monday through Friday with DCU Daily. We did a No Securious show yesterday as well. We reviewed Better Man, Wolfman, and Back in Action. Yep, yes. We did all of those. So you can go back and check that show out. We talked a little bit of Marvel. Of course, we're back tomorrow with another DCU Daily. We'll do the news. And then, of course, we're back the day after that. And then Friday, Liz will be back. So I'm looking forward to that. It's always fun when Liz is on the show. It's always fun. Amano's time is saying Cavill is British, so it's a cheat code. Yeah, like it depends. It depends. But you guys voted on it.
Like, you also have like Stephen Fry. Like, he's not exactly good looking. He's British, so
yeah. That idiom doesn't travel very well. But hey, look, Henry Cavill so far in the poll, it looks like he won it definitively. So we'll see. But hey, David Cornsweet is our new Superman, and we look forward to seeing him.
People are going off on Tarantino, like in the chat. Like, goddamn.
Caleb just likes to press people's buttons, but
honka.
Well, we'll see you, Caleb. We'll see everybody else. Manos Time, Ron. We had Lenny in the chat. Delete Easy E. We have Caleb Richardson in the chat as well. Of course, Manolo.
English have gross teeth. Yeah, because they have gross food.
Elite Easy E. Gilgo's 90. Steven Anderson. Steven Ortega. Who else did we have? We have, of course, Lenny. I already mentioned before. We had Yush in here for a little
30
bit.
30 viewers. 14
Hosea,
likes. Shame.
Yeah, come on, you guys gotta build that up. But yeah, so many of you guys in the live chat. Of course, if you get to figure drawing,
Fight for Justice,
figure drawing in there.
Hell yeah.
If I missed your name, I apologize. I mean, to O'Shea Goodman left us a bunch of comments earlier as well. We're gonna get into more questions from you guys. Keep dropping them down in the comments below. Go to that community post on YouTube where you can find the Q&A post, and then you can leave your question there. We'll bring that into the next show. But until the next show, we hope you guys go and watch something DC related and then come back and talk to us about it, John. We'll see you. Thank you again, John, for joining us today, and we'll see you guys another episode of DCU Daily.
Bat nipples.